This is York's only local show on York's only local station. This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
Listen to your show every day. It's really good.
I have you guys on every morning to wake up to.
Gary Sutton, mornings 6 to 9 on Sports Radio 98.9 FM and 1350 WOYK.
All the things you're talking about are all the things we're talking about. It's Main Street America every day.
And you're getting your money's worth.
You're a brilliant mind, tremendous experience. You're great for the community.
The Gary Sutton Show on York's first station, WOYK.
And it's a great day, and it's good to see you.
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
Coming to you here on a Thursday morning. I'm Gary Sutton, and welcome to the Main Street of York in York County. This is the Gary Sutton Show. Mark McKenzie is here this morning, rocking. Getting ready to go into a great day here. We're looking forward to talking with you this morning, all of our special guests, and lots of things on the table to kind of kick around. But, just good to be alive this morning and heading on into the holiday season as we keep on progressing toward Christmas, right? I mean, that's all good. All brought to you by Barley Snyder, attorneys at law. They have 130-plus attorneys in 29 different areas they work on in civil law. And so when you call them, they have like a regional approach, and you don't just get one attorney, you get 130 plus. Yeah, you really do, because they are experts in 29 different areas. And I tell you what, right here in York, they're at 100 East Market Street. Give them a call at 717-846-8888. You can go to barley.com to find out more about them, BARLEY.com. And they are the proud sponsors of this hour and the other 2 hours as well every day of the Gary Sutton Show here on WOYK. We're at 98.9 FM, 1350 AM, WOYK. If you're out of town, listen like I did when I was in Orlando at 989 WOYK.com. You also can listen to our podcast later on today on YouTube at WOYK. We do that every single day. So if there's something you want to hear again, or you want to hear the whole show again, first of all, thank you. And second of all, you can do it. WOYK on YouTube every day. Our question of the day today up on the Gary Sutton Show at Facebook is this. What should the president and Congress be doing right now to make life better for citizens of the United States? How's that for a simple question, Mark? What should the president and Congress be doing right now to make life better for citizens in the United States? I don't know, maybe go on vacation. I just thought about that. But anyway.
I tried that.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
A couple of times.
Yeah, it doesn't work. So anyway, so that's there for you today. And today is Santa's List Day. Today is Santa's List Day. Yes, where you can, think about something you'd like to.
When was the last time you made a list?
Did I make a list?
I thought yesterday about making a list for my kids for me.
Oh, okay. My wife made a list the other day.
Ah, there you go.
I got to tell you, I ran into the stupidest. This girl's on the naughty list. I was calling yesterday to get a present for my wife. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm not gonna name this company because I don't want to shame. I do want to shame them, but I don't want to do it right here. Anyway, I call this company. I want to get this piece of jewelry, right? And it's a certain piece I've been looking at. So I call up. This girl answers the phone. And she identifies herself as part of that company. I go, okay, very nice lady. And I start talking to her, and I said, well, I'd like to, and I got it based on a text that they had sent to me. So I'm responding to the text, going into the number they gave me to call. And so I get this girl on the phone. I've got all my information ready to go, the things I want to order. I'm all excited. I'm in a Christmas spirit. I'm sitting in my chair, just, getting things for my wife. And I'm thinking about how much she'll love it and all this. So the girl answers. Her name's Stephanie. So I said, Stephanie, I'd like to order some items here. She goes, oh, what's your code number? I said, well, I don't have a code number. And she said, well, you need to have a code number. I said, well, you sent me this text. I'm calling back on this text with the response, and I want to buy something. I want to spend money with you. I want to give you my money for these products. So then she says, well, we have to have a code number. This is the something other side, and we're over in Kansas, and they're in Chicago. And I said, wait a second. I said, this is the number it told me to call to buy the items. I said, I need to have, what code number are you looking for? And I said, if I can find it here, I'll find it. She said, well, it's some special code. I said, So what you're telling me is I can't buy something here. Why am I calling you? And she said, well, you could call this number again and maybe you'll get somebody else and they can help you. And just stop and think about the stupidity of that for a minute. I called that number, got her. She couldn't help me. What if I call again and get her again? So she can tell me she can't help me again.
So the message didn't come with a code number?
No, it didn't come with a code number at all. And so she hung up on me. So I call back the same number, go through the same routine. You got to punch in, every piece of identifying information you have. And so I did. And so I get in there, and this lady comes on, and I said, by the way, she said, well, how can I help you today? I said, well, the first thing you can do to help me is don't hang up on me. I said, I just had a lady, and the lady was like embarrassed. She goes, oh, that shouldn't have happened. I said, well, she told me to call back again because I might get somebody else, which I obviously have, and I wanted to order this. She said, oh. And then she explains to me all this other stuff, and I said, this is kind of not really a good shiny moment for your company because I thought I bought stuff here before a lot, and why I'm having all this problem. She goes, well, we shouldn't have that. Let me see how I can help you. And she did. And I got the order through with her, and she was very kind, and she went out of her way and couldn't have done a better job. So she's on the nice list. The other girl is on the naughty list
I'm going to bet.
Yeah.
I'm going to bet that the person who helped you was older than the person you first
Well, she spoke English better than the person that originally answered.
Well, you said they were from Kansas or something?
Well, that's what they said, but it's, how that
you
is.
think.
Somebody says, hey, this is Bob, and they're from, Czechoslovakia or whatever. And, so it's, and I have no problem with that. I just have a problem when I can't understand them. And then when you hang up on me, that's a problem. So, I would and I start to become talk show host and get witty and all the stuff you and I do seamlessly. In other words, I become a real ass is what happens. But I was effusive in my appreciation of this lady who helped me. I said, you know what? You just restored my faith. I said, I was getting ready not to shop here again. And I said, you just restored my faith. Thank you very much. And I said, if you could pass that on to the people, that's not really a good thing. I will do it. So anyway, that was my little Christmas story.
See, it was a teachable moment.
Yes, it was, and it worked. And you know what? And I remained patient throughout.
Congratulations on reaching another level.
That has not always happened.
That's right.
No, I am not known as the most patient person in the world sometimes. Although with Kevin Smith's guidance, my kindness.
Is that what it is? Do you think it's sinking in?
I think
it's
just getting
seeping
older.
in.
I told you before, there are a lot of hills I don't charge up anymore and plant the flag, and that's.
And I can attest to that.
Although I was getting a little annoyed with the first girl because she wasn't making sense. Do you realize how stupid this conversation is that we're having right now? I did start to head in that direction. So
it's probably someone who, is very perfunctory in their.
You're exactly right. She even said as much then.
Yes, not even really thinking about you. She's just thinking about maybe what she's been told.
This is what it says on my script.
Yes.
Yeah, and that, you're right. And she more or less told me that too. Now, the other lady, though, went beyond the script and said, wait a second, I'm going to think here. I'm trying to get some stuff for my company. There's a reason they called this number. And I'm going to see if I can solve this problem. And, that right there, instead of saying, well, it's not my job, she went on and said, it is my job. She went out of her way to make sure I got that order completed.
Now, I think you already know this, but, it was because of your controlled response that other person
I understand.
may learn a good lesson here, and everybody, for the most part, had a good outcome.
Well, this girl was annoyed because she had a number of these calls throughout the day as a second call to her. And
interesting.
So there's a networking here.
Yes.
So she's going to go back and say in a meeting, by the way, I don't appreciate the fact that I'm getting dumped on here and I'm receiving the second call, maybe not as nice as mine. Because of the professional way that I conducted myself, I
wonder if they have a way to check. If they wanted to, could they track who you talked to first?
Are you kidding? We could check everything now. So
probably
21 days to Christmas, 27 days to New Year's Eve, and Santa's List Day today.
Yes.
Yeah. What else do we have today? What are the national days today? Because you've been a little down lately on some of these. Yeah.
It's.
I felt bad. I
well,
worried about you.
It's the end of the year.
Yeah.
I think they use all the good stuff.
They're dumping stuff
in
right
the
now.
first half, and by the time we are limping into December, this is what you got.
Yeah.
National Dice Day.
Dice Day. Really?
National Dice Day. We talked about craps the other day.
Yeah.
When we went gambling over the weekend.
And board games.
Yes. How many sets of dice have you thrown?
Oh my God! I can't get, if I ever have the chance to get to the pearly gates, they'll have them piled up.
Is that what it is?
Them and the board games will be all piled up. Okay, you want to talk about this a little bit? What happened there? What did you do there? We got this here, a little black mark in the old book, and I
used to play Stratomatic with my brother David, and
which, by the way, was a great game.
It is. It's. I haven't played it in years, but I have some old cards somewhere.
Yeah.
And it was a one white die and two red dice.
Right.
I thought it was much better than APBA, which was a local product. I think it was made in
Pennsylvania, right over there on the road to Millersville.
I didn't like APBA because when you looked at the cards for the players, I might see a player I don't know.
Yeah.
So, like, how can I tell how good he is? When I looked at APBA cards, I couldn't tell anything. But when you looked at a Stratomatic card, you could tell. You could tell right away whether the player was any good or not. Anyway, we would play, back and forth, football, baseball, and man, those dice would fly.
Yeah.
Well,
I used to treat board games like frisbees.
Yes.
Okay. They never came back though. So anyway, there he is.
National Sock Day.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? It's so annoying. Where did the other sock go when it comes out of the wash and you only have but one?
Sock heaven.
Yeah, it's sock heaven. And again, that'll be piled up there somewhere when I get there.
So do you wear unusual colored socks with like suits and those people that wear the like
They're
golf?
Stupid.
Well, we happen to have some golf socks here, so
Yeah, I know. No, I got. Someone gave me a bunch of. Hey, you ought to wear that with your nice blue pinstripe suit. Like,
oh God,
in your dreams.
World Wildlife Conservation Day.
Okay,
Like to
we
conserve
could all
wildlife?
gather on that one. Yeah.
And today's a good day food-wise. National Cookie Day.
By the way, World Wildlife Preservation Day is also each day at the back door of our house, as my wife feeds most of the animals in the Western Hemisphere.
That's true.
Yeah, go ahead.
National Cookie Day.
Well, that's simple.
Yes, and
Is it someone like threw their hands up there and said, "Okay, we got an opening here"?
I think you could always celebrate
every day during this season is National Cookie Day.
But it really it's an art. It's an art. My daughter made chocolate chip cookies on Thanksgiving, and I got to tell you, you wouldn't turn down a chocolate chip cookie.
No,
but they were not good. I mean, it was dry and brittle.
And this is your daughter?
I couldn't figure.
These?
I didn't tell her that.
Yeah, we're just
And
telling
she's
them.
not
We're just
listening.
telling how many thousands of people on the air right now.
She's not listening.
She
so,
should feel better now.
But anyway, I mean, Deb makes a really good one, and my mother makes a really
Deb,
good
who
one.
is listening, by the way.
Yes,
and your mother, who is listening, by the way, and
they make very.
Do you see what I
good.
have here today? What I brought with me? It's not a cookie, but these little Debbie. Christmas tree cakes. This is the chocolate variety with like a chocolate ganache in there. Little Debbie is like Satan incarnate. I mean, they make stuff that is so good that. So my wife brings these home the other day and says, "Here, look, I brought chocolate and vanilla."
Wow!
Oh my!
You got both. Well, do you remember we did this? I think you did the story.
Yeah.
About, or maybe you were on vacation. Stars cookies.
Yeah, the stars.
Right? Was that you?
We did. Yes, we did.
Where they weren't going to be. I don't know. What was the story?
Something about the chocolate this year, and they couldn't make them with the chocolate, so somebody else was making something else in place of the stars. Are like the greatest local cookie ever made.
I almost texted you last night because I walked out of the grocery store and they had this huge display of Stouffer's Stars cookies with the chocolate dipped and all that. I thought, but I couldn't remember all the details of the story. And
in the break, give me an address. I'll be there today. Yeah. I love Stars. I mean, and you talk about addictive. There they are. It was the reason I got to the weight I got to at one point in time.
The best part is you can fit a whole one in your mouth.
And you can. And not look like a pig doing it, And then you could have another one in when someone else takes a look back. Hey, look, a deer. Yeah, there it is. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We got a lot more coming your way here this morning on the Gary Sutton Show. It is the main street of York and York County, getting you started with a little lighter fare here today on WOYK. I was up doing.
And the ball up. Smith wins it back with some authority.
Good anticipation on that jump there.
Oh, here's Jaden from deep, and he opens it up with a three from the hash over by the Dickinson bench. That didn't take long.
No.
And Rowe quickly pulls and nails a three. Timeout, York. He scampered it up on the dribble, pulled, and he's got 20 in the first half tonight. And Burke will dribble the timeout in the front court, and that'll do it. Spartans return from the Thanksgiving break, and they hang 88 on Dickinson tonight. An 88-72 win, 6-0.
Well, that was Darrell Henry, always excited and doing a York College game, and they won again. Are they still undefeated?
6-0.
Yeah, 6-0, coming back from the Thanksgiving break, and now
Jaden
playing
Rowe,
that short period of time until Christmas, and then whatever happens there.
Jaden Rowe he tied a career high with 31 points. The team had 15 threes.
Unbelievable. I mean, your college is a lot of fun to watch. Get over there and watch the Spartans play. I'm telling you what. And if you can't get over there, then listen to them when they're on the road with Daryl, even when they're at home with Daryl. And he does a great job.
Yeah, speaking of that, next in action.
By the way, Daryl owes me money for saying that again. No, Daryl is like the consummate play-by-play guy. He is really
no
good.
doubt. You feel like you're there and you're sitting with a buddy.
And I'll tell you what, when Daryl's there, you don't have any doubt about what side he's on. I mean, there is not a question. He's like Chuck Thompson used to be. Chuck Thompson was the ultimate homer guy.
Yeah.
Now, Daryl appreciates what other teams play, and I mean, he appreciates what other teams do, but, it's like you don't have a doubt about who he's there for. Now, where you do have a doubt is when he's doing a high school game, because he does not go one side or the other. He is very neutral, and he's very good at that. So, but on the ones where it's a York College voice, I mean, guess what?
And the Revs.
Yeah, especially no question about the Revs.
Yeah. Next in action, by the way, Saturday at home, doubleheader, airing at 12:45. First, the women hosting Newman.
Okay.
That is at 1 p.m. And then the men hope to stretch it to 7-0, hosting Delaware Valley. And that game starts at 3.
Delaware Valley usually has some really good teams. By the way, I do want to remind you, we're talking about sports here a little bit. How about Winter Fun is calling you? And it's going to get cold here. The polar vortex is rolling in. And where can you go outside to have some fun? Well, I've got the place. It's Avalanche Express in York. Snow tubing, ice skating, memories that are going to last you all season long, hockey playing out there even. But I'm telling you what, right now is a great time to grab your season pass starting at just $59. Now, they have other ones available as well, including one that includes mini golf all year long. But I'll tell you what, Avalanche Express, $59. But here's my special WOYK listener exclusive. If you visit avalancheexpress.com/Gary right now, there's actually a page, avalancheexpress.com/Gary. For every season pass you buy, you will get a $10 gift certificate to Noni's Table. Noni's Table is the newest restaurant right there at Heritage Hills. Overlooks the greens out back. I mean, it is beautiful. Big fireplace, cozy atmosphere, intimate type of atmosphere. And it's a great place to have your favorite coffee or maybe your favorite kind of breakfast or lunch favorites. Gorgeous views. You're inside where it's nice and warm, a crackling fire going on. Maybe you have a little group that you like to host there, or just sit down and read a book and enjoy a creamy latte. Noni's Table is the place to do that. You can check them out at nonistable.com. But remember, avalancheexpress.com/Gary for every season pass you buy right now. What better gift could you get for some young person or the person that's young inside who still wants to do that? I'm thinking about going up there and riding down one day. You can do it right now and get a $10 gift certificate for every one you buy to Noni's Table. So there you go.
Now, remember last week, it was the
last week
Cowboys and the Chiefs. Remember when they played?
Yes.
That was Thanksgiving Day, right?
And the Cowboys won.
Well, check this out.
A massive amount of NFL fans sat down with a plate full of turkey to watch Dallas and Kansas City face off on Thanksgiving. The Cowboys' 31-28 victory over the Chiefs averaged 57.23 million viewers on CBS, making it the most watched regular season game in NFL history. The matchup between the two storied organizations broke the previous record set in 2022, when an average of just over 42 million people tuned in to watch the Giants and the Cowboys. The first game on Thanksgiving between the Packers and the Lions averaged 47.7 million, becoming the most watched regular season game since Fox began carrying the NFL in 1994. Joe Morgan, Fox News.
Do you remember yesterday? And I watched that game, by the way. It really was a good game. But yesterday we talked about the drunken raccoon that had broken into the liquor store and knocked over some stuff and then drank it, and they found him passed out in the bathroom.
Yes.
At least he had the good decency to go to the bathroom, and they took him out and took him back to a shelter, and then he let him sleep it off, and he went out with a headache, but they let him back in the wild. Here's another one. A raccoon story again today. If you have trouble wrangling your cat without looking like a scene from a horror movie, you'd know better than to wrangle a raccoon. I offer this as an example. A man in Georgia recently came across an injured raccoon on the side of the road and decided to give the animal a lift to the nature center. He wrapped the raccoon in his coat and held it against his chest.
Oh, my.
As he drove for an hour. What could possibly go wrong here?
You gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, this is like a Hallmark movie. You know what it's going to be. It's unclear if the guy was just a huge animal lover or if the raccoon looked cute. But either way,
Drunk.
it was wild and did not want to be driven around.
Of course not.
The raccoon bit the man on the face and the hand, so he gave it some space and managed to wrap it in a blanket with duct tape and continued driving. Once he got to the nature center, the staff put the raccoon in a kennel and then sent it to a vet. They forcefully insisted the bloody man go to the hospital, and he finally agreed. Turns out the raccoon had rabies.
Oh, my.
And was immediately euthanized. So the man went through all that trouble for nothing. Well, I mean, we assume the man will be okay since he was treated right away and there's no update in his condition. But the Nature Center said that while the guy's heart was in the right place, no one should ever do this because he put everyone he came into contact with at risk, and there were children at the Nature Center at the time.
You know, I blame those commercials with the sad puppies.
Boy, I'll tell you what, we're at that time. I have to turn the channel on this. And you know what the worst part is? It's
hard
the
to
same
watch.
ones every year. They never change the.
They do.
I'm telling you, you look at it, it's the same animals. They still haven't been adopted this year. I'm serious. They use the same films every single year. And so you think, I wanted to know the story of what happened. Maybe somebody went and picked them up, and they have a happy home now.
Hey,
and they're
yeah,
living
there you go. They
little
should do
picture
that.
by the fireplace.
They should have some hope in the commercial. That's a good idea.
But no, what do? We get the same ones every year. It's like that one with the people from Russia. And you got to send money, and it's the same people every year. I'm going like, wait a second. Didn't anybody? It tells you how many people reacted to the commercial, right? Nobody came to help, so we're showing you the same film this year. I'm just saying. Little things that I noticed. That's what a professional does.
Yes,
or at least a
right?
semi-professional. Yes. I don't know. Chris Markowski will try to help us out next. He's up. Have you ever heard of a 7 or 8 year deal for your car to pay your car up? 7 to 8 years. It's happening right now because the price of new cars are so bad. We're going to talk to Chris about that and much more here next on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK at 6:30.
City sidewalks, busy sidewalks, dressed in holiday style. In the air, there's a feeling of Christmas.
Pass the scotch.
Children laughing, people passing,
Pick up.
meeting smile after smile, and on every street corner you hear
Here we go. Slurring silver bells.
silver bells, silver bells, silver bells, silver bells.
Dean Martin.
It's Christmas
Is that is one of those artists? Like, is he singing? Is it?
Ring-a-ling.
I don't know. There are people that loved him. There are people that, lived on every word the guy sang. And he's most famous for the Dean Martin roast. Remember those things?
I do, yes.
And the biggest thing about Dean Martin was you always expected him to be drunk. Now, Mark was mentioning a question off the air that there was a question about whether he really even drank at all.
Yes.
But he just bought the shtick, and people expected him to be that way all the time, so that's what he did. But I don't know. It's like we expect Chris Markowski to show up and always have great quotes about The Godfather here on a Thursday morning, and we missed him last week because of Thanksgiving, but we have him back today. Chris Markowski, the watchdog on Wall Street. Good morning, Chris. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Are you a Dean Martin fan?
I didn't like the whole Rat Pack thing. I mean, it's not like I've got all of my aunt and grandmother's albums.
Okay.
It's not like I'm pulling them out on a regular basis and playing them, though.
No.
But I got all that old, Terry Cuomo stuff. I got quite the collection. Actually, remember, I have the ones that actually rotate at 78. That's way back when.
Yeah, I got you. I'm with you now. So, anyway, well, great. Did you have a good Thanksgiving? I've been asking everybody that. And, that's like the talk show 101 question. Did you have a good Thanksgiving? Because it just happened within the last week. Yeah.
It's always one of my favorite holidays out of the year, and I hope you did as well.
We did. We really had a very quiet time. And not that it's like you ask that question and someone said, do you really care? And you say, probably not, but I do. When I ask it of people, I really do care. We were talking to a guy yesterday that had all different nationalities of people at his house, and people had out their Google translators to try to translate. He said it was unbelievable. It was a great time. So there you go. Hey, I'm looking at some numbers today. Private companies shedding 32,000 jobs, which is a steeper than expected decline. But the downturn was led by small businesses, which cut 120,000 possessions this last month in November. And, are we seeing a trend here right now? You'd have thought maybe some of the numbers would be better this time of year, but or by this time of year, 13 months later? But they're not seemingly getting a whole lot better. What's the truth on this? We have perception, but what's the truth from your particular vantage point?
Again, it's just not the slightest bit unexpected. I think we've discussed this, over the course of the year and what, tariffs are going to do to small businesses. And it's not just tariffs. Anything that comes out of Washington, D.C., that they're telling us is, for the betterment of the country, it always hits small businesses the hardest, whether it be regulations or whether it be taxes such as tariffs. Large companies, large businesses, they have the ability to cope and deal with it. If you're Nike and you get hit by tariffs, well, you sell enough things that you can kind of maybe pass some cost off on to, your suppliers, some to your customers. For a small business owner, it's very difficult. It's the same thing when they pass rules or regulations that are telling us they're going to benefit, whether it be Sarbanes-Oxley or Dodd-Frank. Think about all the small banks that went under, just closed up after the financial crisis. Not because they did anything wrong. They just couldn't afford to stay in business anymore because the regulatory costs were too high. And that's what we're seeing right now. Small businesses out there, they look out, and every day there's a minefield that they got to deal with, taxes, regulations. Now, that's in of itself difficult. You can find out where the mines are, but when they constantly move them all the time, it makes life very, very difficult on them. And, what's interesting, it wasn't just the ADP numbers. The amount of businesses, small businesses, this is subchapter 5 bankruptcy is at record levels. And these are for companies that used to be $7 million in debt or less. They lowered it to $3 million in debt or less. But the amount that have applied for, subchapter 5 bankruptcy is at record levels.
Americans are seemingly paying more for just about everything right now with housing and everything else. But one of the biggest things that's standing out, and I was listening to a piece on this morning and read about it a bit, new cars are not selling well. They're too expensive. I mean, the average price now is around $50,000. This is due to a shift by automakers, really, I guess, toward higher priced vehicles, increased costs from inflation, a shrinking supply of affordable models. I don't know if the tariffs figure in there or not, but many consumers are opting for used cars now. We're seeing a lot of people buying pre-owned, keeping their current vehicles longer, or they're just delaying purchases and waiting for better deals, or maybe waiting to see what's going to happen in the markets due to things like the tariffs. But I was listening this morning, 7 and 8 year loans they're asking for now. 7 and 8 year loan. Who the heck does that, right? Talk about that a little bit.
Well, no, not a good idea when it comes to an automobile by any stretch of the imagination. It really isn't. Again, you take a look at, especially with a new car, the value you're going to lose as soon as you put your name on the paper. How far are you behind the 8 ball when you purchase something like that? It makes no sense. It's like the 50-year mortgage thing that they were talking about. And people think that these things are they're helpful and they bring prices down. Yeah. They really don't. No. They do the exact opposite. Any single time you subsidize something, it drives prices up. Now, again, I want everybody to kind of, go to close your eyes and imagine this. And it's difficult for people to understand because it's almost like conventional wisdom becomes the truth. The lie becomes the truth. If there was no such thing as a 30-year mortgage, if it didn't exist, they don't have them in Europe, believe it or not.
Right.
They don't have 30. Okay. If there was only 15 years, you'd think that the price of homes would go up or down. They would go down because it's the affordability that would be out there. The 30-year mortgage, which was instituted, you go right back, it's another FDR thing, actually made the prices of homes go up because then you could sell them for more because you could borrow over a longer period of time.
Exactly. And that's one of the problems you have right now. I bought a new car this year in February. And, one of the things that I did, I went out and I paid the full price on it. I just paid it in cash. And I just said, okay, that's it. I'm going to buy it one shot. I'm done. I don't want to pay for my car twice. I don't want to do, stretch that out over any period of time. I want to pay for it, get it done, get it out of there. I could afford it at that point in time, and I'm glad that I did it then because if I tried to do it now, it'd probably cost a little bit more. However, not everybody can do that right now, but you're right. And, when you pinch it into another period of time there, like 15 years, things do come down because, people are saying, well, if we don't bring them down, no one's going to be buying the houses, no one's going to be buying the cars, nobody's going to be buying anything, right? If you talk about that period of time.
Again, it's the price of money, and anytime the government get involved, and here we come to save the day, we're going to subsidize something. Take a look at the most expensive things that we have to deal with: homes, cars, education, and health insurance.
Right.
What is the underlying thing? The government is involved in each and every one of those things and subsidize them. I'll never forget this. I was on with Don Lemon on CNN.
Oh, yeah.
Back, I don't know. And the conversation was about college affordability, and it had to be around 2008, 2009. And they didn't even understand me. I was like speaking a different language. I said, if I could, I would eliminate all student loans and all student aid from the federal government because then, you know what? Then colleges and universities would have to price their products based upon what people can afford to pay. Because nobody can afford it, they're going to have to bring the price down.
Yep.
And again, it was like talking to a wall. I was, they didn't understand anything I was saying. But I'm like, that's the reality. What are they going to do?
Well,
they're going to have to price their product based upon what people can pay.
The problem was you were talking from reality and really economic principles, and he wanted to talk from political advantage, and that's the problem that you get into so many times. When you look at things right now, you mentioned about health care. I watch the Republicans. Well, we got to get something done here. We got to get something out there. God bless the Democrats in the sense that they came up with an act. Now, whether or not, it's not affordable. But the bottom line is they put something out there. The problem that we have is there's nothing to talk about on the other side. Now, they have ideas. I mean, there's some decent ideas floating around out there, but they've never cogently put them together into something where the Americans can say, all right, I got this or I got that. Okay, now maybe that's not the best choice. I don't know, but at least it's a choice. Right now, you don't have any choice because the Affordable Care Act's all you have to play with and talk about because the Republicans can't get their act together. Your thoughts on that?
here's your newsflash to everybody out there, okay? If you actually, there's a few out there. There's a Thomas Massey, there's a Rand Pauls, there's a few there that have actually put things forward that would actually work and
Right.
make sense.
Right.
They have zero interest whatsoever in getting rid of Obamacare. Let me explain this to everybody very, very succinctly, okay? John McCain gave the thumbs down back when they wanted to repeal it, okay?
Right.
If it wasn't McCain, it would have been somebody else, okay? Republicans and Democrats get big, fat, huge checks from health insurance companies, and they want that money to continue to roll. They have no interest in getting rid of this thing at all,
Wow.
okay?
Yeah.
They're gaslighting you, okay? You believe this song. I'm on the elephant team. I'm on the donkey team. No, it's the damn uniparty, man. You're watching a show, okay? You're watching a show. They're all gaslighting you. They have zero interest in getting rid of this. They want the money to continue to flow.
So at the end of the day, we're probably not going to see anything brand new, and
No,
we're just going to keep on
absolutely
fussing around and false indignation, and my friends on the other side are doing that. And, okay, yeah, gotten sick and tired of that. So, so now, you're getting ready for the holidays here. I mean, you're always in kind of a holiday mood anyway. But as you get ready for the holidays, you're a movie guy. Do you have a favorite movie? My wife and I have been watching a movie a night. Last night we watched Christmas Vacation, which I really like, and I actually finished another movie called Love Actually that Mark put me onto, which I liked. But do you have any favorite movies? That, the guy who loves The Godfather and so forth. Any favorite movies? Like, is Die Hard one of your favorite movies during the Christmas holidays? I don't know.
Yeah, Die Hard, without a doubt, is a great Christmas movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, right. Nakatomi Towers.
Christmas Vacation, another one too.
Okay.
I do like Scrooge with Bill Murray.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, I just like that. Trading Places.
Yes.
That is fantastic.
Thank you.
I mean, Eddie Murphy, Dan Aykroyd at their best, Jamie Lee Curtis. So yeah, those are and I like the classic too. I mean, you got to watch It's a Wonderful Life every year.
I have to watch Scrooge with Alistair Sim every year because it was in 1951 that came out, and it was the British version. And the guy is the best. I've never seen any. The only one I ever saw was George C. Scott, who played Patton. But the problem is George C. Scott plays Patton as Scrooge. So like George C. He's the baddest guy in the room. I mean, the spirits don't scare you at all. It's George C. Scott the whole time because he's, you figure he's going to headlock the Ghost of Christmas Present and like give him some noogies or something. And the Ghost of Christmas Past doesn't stand a chance with George C. Scott. He'll get a tank and roll him down. So, that's the only thing that I have a problem with. But other than that, I'm doing pretty well. So there.
I haven't gotten into starting to watch him yet. I think maybe this weekend I'm gonna have to roll out Die Hard.
But
Miss Bruce Willis, God bless him. I know he's having troubles right now with his health and everything like that, but I do miss him.
Well, I do too. He was so good in that, and the guy that played the cop that he was communicating with was so good. But the other problem was that the guy that's the lead terrorist. So I'm watching this movie Love Actually last night, and he's in that. And I can see is I can see the guy at Nakatomi Towers. I can't see the guy acting as like this nice family guy who owns this little company. And I'm sitting there going, that's the Nakatomi Towers guy. So anyway,
that was his big break in Die Hard. That was where he first got his.
I know
as the bad guy. That's amazing to me.
And he was
great in that too. It was perfect.
He was really, really good. I mean, I really liked him in that. But
Alan Rickman.
Yeah, Alan Rickman is the name. He also was in Harry Potter movies, but that was. But Alan Rickman. He will never, ever shed the Nakatomi Towers terrorist. I mean, I'm just saying. Anyway, thank you for a great discussion, my friend. I hope you have a good rest of the week and a great weekend, and we'll catch you next Thursday.
As well. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I want to catch up on what you saw over the weekend, too, on the movie thing. So we'll do that. Nobody does movies like you do. Thanks, buddy.
Trading Places again. That one is just awful.
Oh, it's a great one. Yeah, you got that right. Hey, I'll talk to you, man. Take care. Thanks, Chris.
You got it.
Chris Markowski, the watchdog on Wall Street here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. One of the great things, that Trading Places movie with Eddie Murphy, and
yes, I do.
Who are the two guys in that played the brothers?
There was Don Amici.
Don Amici was the one, and the other guy was a famous actor too.
He was.
Later on in Coming to America, Eddie Murphy hands some money to some beggars. And it's those two guys out on the street. They take it from another movie. Those two guys out in the street, they go, Mortimer, we're back.
Ralph Bellamy.
Yeah, that's Ralph Bellamy. Yeah, very good actor. So anyway, we'll take a break. We'll come back with
birthdays.
What do we have? Birthdays up next here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
Well, he stands 5 feet tall and he has a pocket, right? You don't believe me, do you?
Oh, yes, I do, Granny.
No, you don't.
Oh, Granny, I sure I do.
No, you don't.
All right, I don't believe you.
How dare you call me a liar?
Oh, my.
Of course, from the
Beverly Hillbillies.
That's right. But the birthday, now you know it's not Granny.
Yeah.
Because Granny's been long gone.
Yeah, she has.
But Max Baer Jr.,
whose dad was Max Baer Sr., who was a boxer.
world class.
Yeah.
And Jethro, of course. I mean, really, it was such an iconic figure. I don't know that I ever saw him in anything after that show.
I never saw him in another movie. And you know what? There again, he's like the Nakatomi Towers guy. You would suppose he was in another movie speaking English, like the English, like UK English.
Oh yes,
Yeah. Would you have bought that after seeing him in that?
Yeah, but I don't know.
No, you see the problem. You can't. For me, you can't go. If you're not a star actor, you can't go do something else and get away from the movie you saw. Like the guy that was in Dirty Harry.
Yes.
He came on one time as a lieutenant in I said, no, you're always going to be the Aquarius Killer or whatever you were. It wasn't that.
I remember that guy.
Yeah. So
I hear you.
You're not going to get out of here.
Max.
Yeah. And I watched Love Actually last night. I enjoyed it. I'm glad you put me onto it. And everything kind of comes all together at the end in a hurry.
It does. And I mean, some things are somewhat believable.
Yeah.
And then there are other things that are.
But I'm fighting myself over
ridiculous.
Alan Rickman the whole time through. Like I'm going,
Really?
he's a terrorist.
He didn't have glasses.
I know he didn't.
Nakatomi Tower.
But he still had some of the same characteristics. But he was a good guy.
And he had a suit on, and he was like a dad.
Fighting the middle-aged thing about this girl's trying to get his attention, and his wife's there, and she's Emma Thompson. She's feeling bad. Yeah. So but I fought myself for that whole time. I'm thinking, okay, come on, open-minded.
And what's interesting too is that there's this set of Christmas movies where it's about multiple revolving relationships.
Oh my gosh!
And I'm like, where did this come from? Why is that a thing?
This had about 15 stories going on at one time, and so. But my wife got home, and I was watching it. Here's what I do. I was watching
You watched it without her?
I did, and because what I was going to do is I do a scouting report. And then we come back, and I pick up where we left off the night before. And I said, okay, honey, we were sitting down just after dinner, and I said, no, you don't have to go back. She said, I wasn't that impressed at the beginning, but she said, I liked the movie a little bit, but I'll pick it up from here. Now, I said, how do you do that?
Right.
How do you do that? She said, I can do that. And so that's called the argument is now over. We're done talking about it. I can do that. Okay. That's a statement that didn't have any question mark in, didn't have a need for a retort. I can do that.
I will tell you that.
I cannot, by the way.
I was looking for a movie to watch last night, and I watched the trailer, at least the beginning part, for which it was Jack Nicholson and Diane Keaton.
Oh.
I want to say
as good as it gets.
Yes.
Yeah, which is a fantastic movie.
It is. And it was so fun to watch them in that scene.
Yep.
And he says, I bet you were good married. It was a great conversation opener. Anyway, Max Baer Jr., by the way, which is where this conversation started, is 88 years old. Yes, Jethro is still alive in 2025.
He might be the only one of that whole crew that's still alive. Is Ellie Mae still around?
True. That's a good question.
I don't think she is. For some reason. Well, I saw something today.
Well, there's other birthdays.
Oh, you have other birthdays? I'm sorry. I didn't mean
That's okay. Just a couple of. Jay-Z is 56. Academy Award winner.
Or also known as Mr. Beyonce.
Marisa Tomei is 61.
Oh, and from my cousin Vinny. Oh,
and if I was looking for one, because I could have used a clip from her.
Yes.
I could have used a clip from this guy, because he's had lots of very good movies.
Go ahead.
Jeff Bridges.
Oh, Jeff Bridges, very good. 76. Yeah, who's on the commercials now, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
T-Mobile,
and he's good. I mean, Jeff Bridges is one of those guys that I always thought was a great actor, but he's kind of weird, whose dad was...
Big Lebowski.
What was his dad's name? The guy that was in Sea Hunt.
Lloyd Bridges.
Right. And
I picked a bad day to
I remember the song to the Sea Hunt.
Do you really? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, see.
I don't know why I remember something.
As before my time.
I know. Thank you. Yeah, and thanks for reminding me.
Anyway, you were saying.
No, I was going to say about a website surveyed 2,000 millennial parents with young kids and asked them what things kids get excited about during the holidays. Here's the top 10. Number 1, gifts. 81% of kids get thrilled by presents. The other 19% might still be horrified by that episode of Hoarders you were watching. Yeah. Number 2, holiday lights and decorations, 72%. 3, holiday foods and treats, 67%, mainly sugar. Number 4, time off school for winter break, 66%. Holiday entertainment, 62%. This is mostly seasonal movies, TV shows, plays, and performances. Not Drunk Off Her Buddy and Susan. No. Number 6, family traditions. 60% get excited about that. I can imagine most kids are not all that excited about family traditions. Number 7, snow. 52% get excited about snow. It's probably lower than it used to be because most of those kids are inside playing on their phones.
True.
Outdoor activities, 51%. We used to love to get outdoors. Staying up past their typical bedtime, 44%, mostly because there is no bedtime anymore. You can stay up anyway. Seeing extended family, 43%. I'm guessing it's mostly the same age kids, not Drunk Off Her Buddy and Susan. So there you go. Back to gifts. The number 1 answer, the average kid will ask parents about presents 51 times during the holiday season, which is about twice a day.
Wow.
Twice a day. All right, so I'm just saying. Maybe a little bit later on here, the top reasons that adults get excited during the holidays might be a different list. I'm just saying.
I'm sure.
Yeah, what else do we have here this hour before we head on out?
Well, let's just make sure that everybody knows that nobody won Powerball last night.
I'm a little down about that myself. Yeah.
So I think it might be getting into the realm. It's now $820 million.
Wow.
For Saturday's drawing. So there's a holiday gift, huh?
Uh-huh. If you could win that. Well, Joel Sears is going to be up next on policy. Then at 7:35 on politics, we'll have Dennis Owens. And then at 7:50, we have Bob Lombardi, the executive director of the PIAA, who just signaled back to me he can be on, talking about the adoption of a shot clock in high school basketball. Yeah, something brand new here for all you high school basketball fans, all straight ahead on the Gary Sutton Show. It is 7 o'clock.
This is York's only local show on York's only local station. This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
Listen to your show every day. It's really good.
I have you guys on every morning to wake up to.
Gary Sutton, mornings 6 to 9 on Sports Radio 98.9 FM and 1350 WOYK.
All the things you're talking about are all the things we're talking about. It's Main Street America every day.
And you're getting your money's worth.
You're a brilliant mind, tremendous experience. You're great for the community.
The Gary Sutton Show on York's first station, WOYK.
And it's a great day, and it's good to see you.
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
Welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show here on WOYK, brought to you by Barley Snyder, attorneys at law. 130-plus attorneys practicing in 29 different areas of law, all across Pennsylvania and Maryland, and ready to help you today. Check them out at barley.com, BARLEY.com, or here in York, go to 100 East Market Street, where they are located, and open 9 to 5 daily. And they are at this number, 717-846-8888. Tell them Gary Sutton proudly sent you. But check out barley.com right now. Barley Snyder Attorneys at Law, our presenting sponsor here on the Gary Sutton Show. And this hour being brought to you by Accountability for Life. They're committed to preparing and mentoring at-risk adolescents for lifelong success using an athletics-based platform to educate them in oft-forgotten yet simple fundamental behaviors like concepts and actions that have the power to define one's course in life. And Coach Russ Stoner from York High and his staff are doing a great job on helping kids right now, including getting them scholarships, teaching them about being great people off the court, off the field, off the mat, off the athletic surface, and being better people in the long run. And I'll tell you what, he's doing a great job over there. He and his staff, they have just done a wonderful thing. They're located right over here at Vogelsong Road in York, and they're looking forward to having you check with them. AFLYorkPA.org. Find out how you can help. You can donate. You can get involved as a volunteer. There's all kinds of different staff. As I said, Russ Stoner, the guy who really has gotten this thing going, has done a great job over there, and they welcome you to check them out at AFLYorkPA.org. WOYK News Time is 7:06. Do want to remind you also that you can text in throughout the show at 833-478-4729 with anything that is on your mind. 833-478-4729. You know, I asked Chris Barkowski earlier about his favorite movie during the holidays. What's yours? What's your favorite Christmas movie? My wife and I are going through a movie a night right now. Some nights two. The other night we went through two of them, Scrooge, and then we also did The Bishop's Wife, which is another of my favorites. A lot of old movies, I will say that.
Let me ask you, do you rent the movie, or you're watching it for free?
I buy them. If I get them, if I like them well, if I buy them, I bought two of them yesterday and put them because they're not very expensive. I
tried to watch The Bodyguard with Whitney Houston.
Yeah, watch that.
And it's only
Kevin
rent
Costner.
or buy. I'm like, out of all the movies I have access to, I can't watch that one. I have to rent it.
Yeah, you have to rent
and
it.
You know how
and
that
Kevin
goes.
Costner's in that. And
well, you know,
he was actually pretty good in that.
I like to subject myself.
Well, I know. And try to expand the horizons there. You know, you're constantly trying to expand. Our question also, we've got a question for you this morning. And the question is, what should the president and Congress be doing right now to make life better for citizens in the United States? You could also text the answer to that at 833-478-4729. What should they be doing other than taking a vacation and letting us alone? But, you know, that can't be done. So that's up at Gary Sutton Show on Facebook. And don't forget, you could also on YouTube later today put in WOYK and right there on YouTube, and you will watch, or you can listen to our entire show again or parts of it. With that, we turn to Joel Sears. We missed him last week because of the holiday, but he's back this week. He's our number one policy guy, and he's with us here this morning on the Gary Sutton Show. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Doing well, Gary. How are you?
Well, we're doing well. We missed you last week. It's great to have you back this week. What do you have for us this week?
Well, you challenged me 2 weeks ago to continue with our conversation about public education, and I've done some additional digging, and I haven't really been able to strike gold.
Okay. All right.
Pretty pathetic. Starting this week, Gary, hundreds of newly elected school board members are going to take their oaths of office, and they're going to inherit an academic challenge like none other in the history of public education. academic performance nationally, statewide, and even locally is really in the tank. You should start looking at things like the standard test scores and the other measures, such as the increase in mental health concerns and the like. You really wonder how in the world we're going to survive this. In 100 years, we've gone from teaching Latin and Greek in high school to teaching remedial English in college. It is an unbelievable decline. And this is nationwide.
Right.
Here in the county, we have 28 schools that have 8th graders, most of which are middle schools, but the city does not have middle schools per se. This includes 3 charter schools, Lincoln, which has been around since the early 2000s, Penwood Cyber, which is a new one. This thing popped up a couple of years ago. It's in its second full year. It has 700 students. And the York Area Regional Charter School, which I believe is around 12 years old now, maybe a little longer than that, so it's well established. Using my favorite benchmark, 8th grade math proficiency, here we are in the STEM age and now AI coming on. You would expect that math would be one of those areas where proficiency would be on the uptick, but you'd be wrong. The highest proficiency level for 8th graders in the just released PSSA results is 47.6% for Dallastown. Fewer than 50% test proficient.
Wow.
That's the highest in the county. The lowest is shared among 6 schools, and that's a 0. Hannah-Penn, Lincoln Charter, Penwood, and 4 schools in the good school. And what's even more striking is that for Hannah-Penn, for example, 97.7% of their students test below basic.
Wow. 97. Did you say 97.7 test below basic? So that's
below basic.
Yeah.
That is the worst score that you can get on the standard exams.
Wow.
Lincoln Charter, which has been around since 2000 or so, 89.1 below basic.
Wow.
Penwood Cyber, this brand new cyber school, 88% below basic. And the good school, which has been well established in the city, 82% below basic. Now, let me ask you, if you were teaching in one of these schools, Gary, what would you do?
Wow.
Would you just move on to the next year?
Well, let me ask you a question here, because you bring this up, and I always do this at the risk of elongating it to another week. But these are important questions. So when I look at those numbers, I ask myself, is there something I can do if I am not reinforced at home and by the community what I learn? In other words, if I learn something at school, the thought was always, well, the parents are going to reinforce that at home, or vice versa. You're reinforcing the values from at home. But is there such a disconnect there now on both those areas that you might as well go bang your head against the wall, because, you're basically babysitting at that point instead of actually teaching? Am I wrong on that?
You're not wrong. I've gotten pretty cynical about this, that public education has become subsidized daycare.
Yeah,
now,
to some degree, yeah.
There's some very high-performing students. There's no question about that.
Correct.
But except in some very rare cases, typically clustered around the big cities in the suburbs, there are very few high-performing public schools in the state.
So why is that?
If you consider 47% in the highest-performing district to be a high-performing school statewide or nationally, I think you're wrong.
So at the risk of being politically incorrect, why is that? Why do we see that in the cities more than we see it in the county? And it doesn't sound like the counties are doing real great either on a lot of this, but why do we see a higher concentration of that in the cities in terms of not being able to do basic skills?
I think it's cultural, Gary.
Yeah.
People can talk about the value of public education, but unless they're truly involved, and you put your finger on that, if the parents aren't involved, and if the community does not really say, this is really where you need to be. You see a 16-year-old kid out on the street at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and you just walk past him. There's something wrong with that.
Well, when I taught, and I'm not saying something that most teachers of my age wouldn't have understood, and that was like 28 years ago now, but when I taught, when we had parent-teacher conference days, I always used to, and I marveled along with my colleagues at this, the people that you needed to have come in. They'd send out these things, we have the parents come in, and you would set up a schedule of interviews, and you'd sit down and you'd talk about how the child was doing in your class and what they were doing and what they weren't doing. The people that showed up were not the people that you needed to see. They were the people whose kids were getting it done. And very seldom, not never, but very seldom did the people show up whose kids were not doing well, which kind of told you something right there, that there wasn't maybe the care necessarily that was going on that needed to go on for those kids to succeed, or maybe the support and the reinforcement that was needed from what you were teaching at school. And so right there, that was 28 years ago. I mean, fast forward now, it's not a whole lot better, doesn't sound like.
It's been a slow slog forward. It's not better at all. It's in fact, we've gone through a couple of major disruptions, the most recent of which was COVID.
Right.
And everybody would use that as, oh, well, that's the reason why things are down. We're 5 years out of that. It's hard to believe, but scores for the most part have come back to about the pre-COVID levels, but they've been on a steady decline since the early part of this century. So
right.
You ask yourself, what is actually going on here? Who's to blame for this? That's the first thing that people want to know. Who's to blame? You put your finger on one. That's parents.
Right.
Lack of involvement. Some of that's also designed into the system with courses that parents can't really help their kids with.
Right, exactly.
This evolution from standard mathematics to these more modern approaches. The kids bring the homework home, and mom and dad look at it. It might as well be Greek.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to use the techniques and the methods that they learned in school, the tried and true stuff. They've got to go through these oddball algorithms and the like with third and fourth graders. When mom and dad are left in the cold, I don't care how well prepared they are.
So we're not building right on the basics that really need to be the foundation for the other learning that's going to take place later on.
A couple things have taken place in the last, and I'd say 20 years I've observed in my time on the school board.
Let me do this real quick, Joel. Let me do this real quick. I'm going to end this segment right here, but I want you to come back. Can you stick with us for an extra segment?
Sure.
I'd like to come back and continue this because it's too important to let go right now, and I don't want to let it go to another week. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back with Fox Sports, and then we'll come right back to Joel Sears. And want to finish this off this morning because it's a really important segment for your kids, your grandkids, schools at large. You're paying taxes for in the community, and Joel's talking about that. And why is it that these test scores are so far down? We'll find out more from Joel when we come back at 7:16.
Fox Sports Update.
The grade 8 adds to his record.
Strome's net front. That one's knocked down. Leonard bumps it across, and they score. It's Ovechkin again.
Alex Ovechkin with his second of 2 goals on the night on NBC. The Capitals skating circles around the Sharks in a 7-1 win. The career total for Ovechkin now, 911 goals and counting. The Dallas Stars blanked the Devils 3-0, but star forward Tyler Seguin is out for the rest of the year. Flyers skated over the Sabres 5-2 in a shootout. The Canadiens edged the Jets 3-2, and the Mammoth, they were too much for the Ducks, a 7-0 win for Utah. From the NBA, Jamal Murray pouring in 52 points. Get this, he was 10 of 11 from three-point land, 19 of 25 overall. Can you say the word efficient? The Nuggets beat the Pacers 135-120. Crazy thing about this, he was listed as questionable before the game. What a performance by Jamal Murray. Clippers snapping a 5-game losing streak. They beat the Hawks 115-92. That comes after the abrupt announcement the team was severing ties with future Hall of Famer Chris Paul. Other winners on the hard court of the NBA, the Bucks winning over the Pistons 113-109. Blazers beat the Cavs. Spurs hung on to beat the Magic. Knicks, they stung the Hornets. Rockets blew out the Kings. Nets beat the Bulls. And the Mavericks, they beat the Heat. College basketball, John Calipari's 25th ranked Arkansas Razorbacks, they knocked off number 6 Louisville 89-80 in Fayetteville, and number 22 Indiana, they were beaten by unranked Minnesota 73-64. Other top 25 winners, BYU, Iowa State, Alabama, Vanderbilt, and Auburn. From the NFL, the Ravens signing tight end Mark Andrews to a 3-year contract extension. You can download the Fox Sports Podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you download your favorite podcasts. I'm Frank Lanza.
Get more on the Fox Sports app and foxsports.com.
And welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. 722 here on a Thursday morning, back with Joel Sears on policy. And Joel, we're talking about education and why these numbers are so low, especially in cities or urban areas compared to the rural areas. It's just, I'm not talking about it from a racial standpoint, not talking about it from any standpoint other than the facts of what the numbers say right now and why so many kids seem to be failing and being way under any kind of standards that we have here in Pennsylvania, and I would dare say around the country. Your thoughts?
Well, I guess I try to cut through some of the clutter, Gary, and the word that comes to mind is expectation. I know that's kind of foggy, but let's start at the top. There was a lot of publicity given in the last couple of weeks to what's going on at the University of California in San Diego. Why that one in particular? That's been called a public ivy. It's a very highly ranked school, as publics go. Roughly 1 in 8 freshmen lack rudimentary math skills, so they're placed in remedial high school math courses, and they find out that these kids come in with roughly 5th grade math skills.
Right.
And this is a highly ranked, high-performing university. There were so many numerically illiterate freshmen that the university had to add remedial middle and elementary school math to that course.
Wow.
Now, here's the irony of it. 94% of the students that were placed in that course had completed an advanced math course in high school, and they received an average A- in their math class. Now, you tell me what is the message there as a former teacher?
Oh, yeah. I was reading an article not long ago about I think it was the Baltimore Police Force, and they had people coming from various high schools from the area there who had completed the course of study. And they came in there and they found they couldn't do basic stuff. And so they couldn't really qualify. Or if they did qualify, you found yourself lowering the standard of what the people could do in that job. So, again, do we lower the standard to meet people coming there, no matter where they come from? Do we lower the standard, or do we somehow demand more? But in demanding more, are we capable of getting there with the structures that we have right now, culturally and otherwise? Between families and schools and all the other things that kind of go into this whole process. Your thoughts?
Well, Gary, if you demand more, and let's take this one level down. Now, the university, and this is common, but the University of California Board of Regents scrapped the SATs and the ACTs back in 2020.
There you go.
Which was supposedly to promote equity.
Right.
That allows more unqualified students to get in. And my cynicism says follow the money on that. They come in from low-income high schools, and this is a quote from their study about what's going on. In order to holistically, my favorite word, in order to holistically admit a diverse and representative class, we may need to admit students who may be a higher risk of not succeeding.
So they right there, they tell you the answer.
Their own study.
Yep, they tell you the answer right
They
there.
tell you the answer.
And so there's not a uniform expectation across the country as to what we want. One expectation is, okay, let's get them through these years. Let's give them a diploma that really means not a whole lot, and let them go out there and see what happens and hope that we bring the scale down. And then there's this other expectation that, we have to go out there and hit a certain place in order to have a really decent job. And then we get this gap in society here, and we wonder where the heck that came from. It's really easy to see, isn't it?
It's self-produced,
yes.
and it generates a result that's easy to predict. So you see this interface between the public high schools and the colleges, where there's this gigantic gap between what the kids can actually do and what they're supposed to do and what the report cards say they can do. Take that same situation down a level, the transition from middle school into high school.
Right.
Those are the scores we just read. What do you do if you're a high school teacher and you're receiving 800 or 900 kids across the county, or let's say even 800 or 900 across the county, whose proficiency is 0. They score zeros, Gary.
And you don't necessarily have...
They're delivered to your doorstep as a math teacher. What are you supposed to do?
And you don't have the ability to put remedial kind of stuff in there to help catch them up real quick. So now you have to go backward, add some things in there that are basic that you shouldn't have to be worrying about. And now when you get around to finally teaching your course, you run out of time by the end of the year. Am I wrong on that?
It's impossible to do that. So it starts way back, kindergarten, first grade. If the kids don't have the skills, you hold them back.
Right.
I think that's the way to get parents involved.
Oh, no question.
If you hold the kids back, that has a direct impact on the family.
Well, and what you're talking about there, Joel, is really a sense of urgency that's not there now. We don't have a sense of urgency there now to do anything any better other than to sit and complain about it. Oh, woe's me. Look at our system. It's not working that well. And this time next year, we'll be saying the same things again. And it's just part of our daily conversation. It's like white noise.
Add another wrinkle to this. If we're in private business and we generate results like that, what happens? The CEO head rolls.
Yep.
The department managers leave. That's that. We go find, or we fail. We're in a competitive market, we fail. If we're not in a monopoly, we fail. Public schools run a monopoly.
Yeah.
I've watched for 12 years the lack of accountability in our public school system, which was one of the highest performing. Yeah. Nobody was held responsible for these lousy test scores. Nobody.
Nope.
The teachers are still there. The superintendent's still there. The department heads are still there. Life's good. The clock keeps ticking.
Nope, you're right. Yeah, and until accountability is there for all concerned, and, somehow there's got to be accountability for everybody who has a role to play in this, because without all the groups at work there, nothing else is going to change. I mean,
why would it?
I used to tell people you always get a little bit less than what you ask for. So instead of asking for this median thing here and taking less than that, why not ask for the roof and take a little less than that? And I find that people where you ask a lot more and get a little bit less, the standards go higher. I mean, that's one easy starting point. But again, you have to have those other things helping to reinforce it all, or else it's not going to get done. Final thought.
Here's an irony for you to think about. In these same institutions, and let's talk about public high schools for the example.
30 seconds.
Every one of those that has an athletic program already has a model of success in place.
Right.
They already have competition. They already have the ability to accept and to nurture the kids that really want to perform. And they have the ability to replace the coaches if the results aren't achieved.
Right.
Why don't we do that in academics?
That's a great point. I mean, I hadn't thought about it that way, but that's a great point that you have the model right there. That's maybe the model you ought to be practicing. But again, laws protecting various people, laws protecting mediocrity, social attitudes protecting mediocrity right now. The idea that if my kid doesn't graduate, geez, it's a stigma on me. Maybe it should be. Those are all kinds of things, but we got to get by that, and we're not doing it just yet. To be continued, my friend, but thank you for the extra time this morning. Great stuff on this. again, I don't want to just be the woes me place every week, but I do want to continue to look at how do we get out of this, and can we get out of this? That's really the scarier thing. Can we put the toothpaste back into the tube? And I don't know for sure if we can, Joel, but I appreciate the conversation and bringing it to light for people.
Well, you're very welcome, Gary. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, my friend. We're looking forward to talking more about this with Joel in the future. This hour being brought to you by, here we go, Accountability for Life, right? There are people trying to get it done. Yeah, I know Coach Russ Stoner and his crew over at Accountability for Life are trying to do the right thing. Yeah, they're trying to get kids to be accountable, and they're doing it through sports, which Joel just mentioned here a moment ago. It's a revival of kind of giving core values to kids again. Character building resource toolkits aimed at promoting the importance of accountability in every area of a student athlete's life, not just sports, but in the area of being people and students and all that kind of thing. And they teach and they model the concept of integrity and requiring ownership of one's actions. AFL's time-tested, old-school approach arms students with the intangible tools they need to succeed in academics, behavioral, and life skills, personal growth, benevolence, and leadership, all through the powerful vehicle of sports. And they're doing a great job with it right now. Check them out right now at aflyorkpa.org. That's aflyorkpa.org, and see if you can maybe give a hand. You can donate, maybe talk about how you can volunteer and help out. They're doing some great work here in York. Accountability for Life, aflyorkpa.org. We take a break. We come back. Dennis Owens, ABC 27 News, is up next, all here on The Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
What? What do you think you're doing? What? I'm reading A Christmas Carol.
Wow, since when did you learn to read?
Oh, don't start with
Whoa,
me.
don't start with me. We were supposed to visit my parents
They're
in
angry.
Mineola. But no,
Where is
we
the
have to have a
Christmas song?
party,
Where's the Christmas feeling?
Yes,
You're
Epic
right
friend.
here.
Merry Christmas, I don't
Yeah, this will settle everything.
Hang on.
Oh, Lord.
Merry Christmas, I don't want to fight tonight. Merry Christmas, I don't want to fight tonight. Merry Christmas.
There's a nice, soothing Christmas song to bring you back from the Ramones. Yeah. Good Lord.
Just something different. I mean, it's always the same stuff.
What we have descended to here on this show is a little Ramones. The Ramones. Like I said, I'm still holding out for the Black Sabbath Christmas album, but it never came. So it's.
I'll see. I'll be working on it.
Thank you. I knew you would be. And welcome back to Gary Sutton Show here on WOYK. Mark McKenzie with you here this morning. And we are joined by Dennis Owens, ABC 27 News, who is everywhere. Everywhere, I tell you. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Well, good morning. Happy belated Thanksgiving. And to keep with your theme, Guns N' Roses tickets to Hershey Park Stadium just went on sale.
There you go.
There you have it. A lot of people at work were excited about that. I said, and the tickets, I think the front row seats are like $600. I said, if you gave me the tickets and a limo ride out there, I wouldn't go.
I'm the same way.
To me, I want to hear James Taylor. Okay, I'm a Frank Sinatra guy.
Okay.
Guns N' Roses ain't my thing, as they say.
No, me neither. And, that's just the way it is. Now, you give me a little bit of Tower of Power or Earth, Wind, and Fire or Chicago.
Well,
I'm there.
I saw Diana Ross at Hershey Theater. She was 70-something. It was only like 2 years ago. It was spectacular.
Yeah. Oh, hey, there's still good stuff out there. I mean, I went to Hershey a few years ago at the Giant Center and saw Chicago and Earth, Wind, and Fire in concert. Maybe the greatest concert I ever saw in my life because they each put on a concert. Then they put on this joint thing at the end. It was ridiculous. I mean, it was so good. But there you go. So anyway, maybe some of the tickets that will be going on sale right now are at Beaver Stadium next year because Penn State with the lowest recruiting class ever yesterday. Meanwhile, James Franklin is cooking it up down at Virginia Tech. But is Penn State screwing up this whole coaches thing right now? I mean, they're not having a chance to really recruit. The portal's going to close. We're going to have all kinds of problems. And no coach yet. We got this whole thing going on with Terry Smith up there. Every other coach they're trying to sign is getting an extended deal somewhere or closing the door. What's going on there, in your opinion?
Well, I don't know how you can come to any conclusion other than they screwed up because keep in mind they controlled the levers. They fired James Franklin midseason. Didn't have to do that. Could have waited till the end of the season and let it play out and then it be a more normal kind of glide path. He could keep recruiting and all of that. But, yeah, I don't know how you come to any conclusion other than it's a colossal failure. But I also am thinking maybe that the players seem to really like, this interim coach.
Yep.
And maybe you just stay with him.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm leaning right now, too, because how could you do worse at the moment? The problem is, I think you probably have a squaring off here between the regular people who and the team. There's a number of people on the team who are holding these signs up every game now. Now, they won't have to do that for a few weeks until a bowl game if Penn State accepts a bowl bid. But you've also got a lot of big donors who I'm sure maybe have a different point of view, who want someone like the status of an Urban Meyer. Whether you can get somebody like that, I don't know. But the status of an Urban Meyer, because they plainly said in the beginning, we want to be considered in the talk for a national championship every year. And I'm not sure that Terry Smith's your answer. And yet at the same time, he certainly has worked hard here to salvage a season that seemed like it was, way, way out of play and at least got him back to some sense of respectability.
Completely agree. And I think, there's a number of stories within the story. So Penn State was, quote unquote, ranked third in the nation. I know when you and I talked, I said, I'd like to have what they're having, whoever's voting that team that high. They all said how great Drew Aller was, and I was saying I don't see it.
No.
But I think then after a coach is let go and there's great adversity, Penn State has reeled off a number of wins to their credit. I think it's been there's a lot of admirable things that have been happening up there the last several weeks, and They will get a bowl, and they will go to a bowl, and they should go to a bowl because there should be some reward, in my opinion, for the way that they picked up the pieces after a very unusual circumstance there. I will tell you just one thing quickly.
Go ahead.
I mean, as you know, I'm a fan of Notre Dame. My daughter goes there. Marcus Freeman was not exactly the quote-unquote big splash. He was the assistant that was in the building that the players loved. And, that's working out for them okay.
Yeah, it really is. And so we'll see what happens with this now. But I don't know how they extricate themselves other than maybe go get themselves a big name if they can find it. Lure a guy like an Urban Meyer out for something like that, although I know he doesn't like NIL stuff, and then put Terry Smith in a position where he's still a big part of the team. Maybe you could, I don't know, cover both camps that way. I don't know. Anyway, hey, I see where the Democrats are going after Fetterman. His donors, they're down a little bit right now because of where he's been with Trump. What's your thought on John Fetterman at the moment and where he's at in Pennsylvania politics and national politics?
Well, it's interesting. The polls show that, hey, Republicans really like him, and Democrats, especially progressive Democrats, really don't. I don't know that he could win a primary. And, oh, by the way, if he did win the primary, I don't know that those Republicans that are saying we like John Fetterman are ever going to vote for John Fetterman against a Republican. So that's kind of fool's gold. But I do think he's taking what I like about him, because what most people can't stand about politics these days, is that if you're a Democrat, you stand up for whatever it is Democrats do, right or wrong. John Fetterman takes it issue by issue, which, by the way, I think most of us do. Most thinking humans do that. And we're not just straight party line. If the Democrats say it, it must be so. I think that's refreshing. People like that he will challenge his own party. I think that's a good thing. I think most people should be that way. More politicians should be that way. Well, and by the way, on a number of things that are flat out wrong, the silence of Republicans, flat out wrong that President Trump does, they're completely silent on it, and I think people see right through that. Donald Trump could stand here in front of Congress and say 2 + 2 = 5, and not a single Republican would correct him.
No, I agree with you, and I think that's wrong as well. Listen, healthy distrust of the government, and that includes the normal common sense reaction that most of us have when someone says something. You need to be able to come out and say, no, that's not the case. But the problem is now that we become so obsessed with personality politics of the moment, where we're just following a personality along instead of saying, is this a good policy? Instead of saying for Republicans right now, where's good health care program to put out there juxtaposed to the Affordable Care Act, which isn't affordable, and yet at the same time, it's the only thing we have to talk about. Where is the other side of that where Republicans will say, well, here's our plan? But the fact is, there is no plan right now. And so instead of getting that kind of stuff, we get people following along like elephants with their tails attached or their trunks attached to the next tail in front of them. It's ridiculous.
I agree. And, you didn't intend for this conversation to go here, and I really didn't spend a lot of time thinking about it until recently. But the entire let's blow up drug boats off the coast.
Yep.
Now, if you can be 1,000% sure that those are all bad guys and they're all delivering drugs to America, I might say, okay, no harm, no foul. But, I saw a number of movies growing up about World War II, which my father and all my uncles fought in, where the Nazis and the Japanese were portrayed as really bad because they would sink American ships and then they would go back after them with planes and shoot bullets at the guys who were in the water trying to survive.
Right.
And that's flat-out war crime. Now, the only difference between the two things going on is that those people down on those boats aren't wearing military uniforms and didn't sign up for that declared fight.
Right.
And, again, this isn't a movie, and I think there's some legitimate thought of it being that it's a real war crime. And they're going to try to, throw lawyers at it and say, oh, no, it's drugs and it's killing America. And look, I say stop the drugs. I don't disagree. But I think we all need to be thinking about to go back and then kill survivors. And by the way, you've seen how our government operates. Are you 1,000% convinced that every single thing they're blowing up is appropriate and the right thing, and there's never a mistake made?
Well, I think
we're too smart for
here
that.
is where Congress needs to have and take the politics out of it, which I know is that when I say that, that's almost impossible anymore. But let's say if we can take the politics out of it and say, okay, is this a good idea? Okay, so we're blowing up the gunboats. Well, first of all, when you blow up a drug boat, you're blowing up the drug boats. Yeah. The assumption is you're not exactly not trying to kill people on board that. Okay, when you blow it up, the assumption is they're probably going to get killed. Now they're in the water, and you say, okay, I'm going to kill them anyway. And you go, well, wait a second. In a very perverse, common sense kind of way, is that wrong? On the other side, from a morality standpoint, we're saying, wait a second, those people have been rendered indefensible, defenseless. They can't do anything right now. Do we go out there and we strafe them now anyway? Those are questions that people are talking about, and they're going, there's something wrong with that. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but there's something wrong with that right now because we're a moral people, and we like to think we operate on a higher plane. That's part of it too, isn't it?
Absolutely, and I think people need to be asking questions, and there aren't enough questions being asked in Congress. And when the Democrats ask them, it just comes across as, oh, you're just trying to put something at the Republican president. Yeah. It's political, right? And no, there should be some American values. I still believe in that. I know you look at a lot of the headlines, and it's not so clear that it exists, but I still believe in, the beacon on the hill is Ronald Reagan, and I want our country to be that.
A city on the hill. It was the old Puritan concept, and I'm not sure right now that necessarily reflects that. But again, if you have an investigation and you say, okay, we're sure that all these things were targets, we're sure that they all were right, okay, that takes care of one part of the argument, but then the other part, that needs to be discussed as well. There's a whole lot of other things, too. Dennis, always good talking to you on a Thursday morning, my friend. Thank you.
You didn't have blowing up gunboats on your bingo card today, did you?
Oh, I always have it on my bingo card. Yeah, I did. Actually, I was going to throw it. I was going to throw it at you later, but you got the fastball, high heat, inside, right above the chin, and it's a good one to be talking about. And
just lastly, before we talk next week, I want to give you a homework assignment and your listeners. There's a 25-page article in The Atlantic about Josh Shapiro, the most in-depth profile. Came out yesterday. It's all the buzz in the Capitol. I haven't even gotten through the whole thing yet, but it's pretty fascinating. Might be an interesting jumping-off point for next week's conversation.
Yeah, and we could also talk a little bit about the governor. It was pretty hot yesterday about some things that were said about him in Kamala Harris's book. So he said they were not true. We'll get to some of that maybe next week as well. Hey, thank you, my friend. Yeah. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you then, all right?
Just pray that the Philadelphia Eagles can finally figure out a way to win a football game. We'll talk to you later.
You got it. Take care, buddy. Dennis Owens here on the Gary Sutton Show from ABC 27 News. When we come back, Bob Lombardi is the executive director. He's retiring December 31st, by the way, after all these years since 1988 being the executive director of the PIAA, the Pennsylvania Interscholastic Athletic Association. Yesterday, this week, they came up with a brand new rule for high school basketball that for some people is a long time coming. He'll tell you all about it next on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
Bust it.
Welcome back. The Gary Sutton Show here on a Thursday morning. We're at 7:52 on WOYK, and we check in right now with the executive director of the Pennsylvania Interscholastic Athletic Association, although I can't say that a whole lot longer. In fact, by the December 31st, he is going to retire. We're going to talk to him on Monday more about that. But he is Bob Lombardi, who's been executive director of the PIAA since 1988 and been a good friend during that time as well. Good morning, Bob. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you, Gary?
Well, I'm doing great. Good to have you aboard. But, man, news made yesterday here in the state of Pennsylvania as the PIAA Board of Directors voted to implement a shot clock for boys and girls basketball beginning the 28-29 school year. Tell us about it. And a lot of people, not shocked. I mean, there was talk about this coming. But what's your take on all this? Is it a good move? You've seen a lot of changes over the years in your time as executive director. This would be one of the biggest ones, I would think.
Yeah, I think, Gary, as an ex-basketball coach, you know better than anybody else. The game has evolved.
Yes.
And when we sat down and discussed it with our basketball leaders in every district, the issues came up were a couple, and probably four things. Cost of the clock, somebody to run the clock, being able to train people, and be able to train officials on the rules of the
right.
How to handle the clock. Those four items. Once we sat down with the steering committee and got it to the board and said, well, wait a minute. Can we do these things, and how can we do them and give people lead time? It evolved into saying, yeah, we can do this. There's 32 states doing it.
Right.
The game's going that way. Let's take a real hard look at it. And I got to compliment the board because some of the grassroots are saying, it's to get away from the tradition of the game, blah, blah, blah. But I think people did a great job. I believe it's the right thing to do. And our people handle it. They're tremendous. I mean, we've got the best people in the country out there in our schools. Our school leadership is unbelievable. So we're really happy about it.
I would be one of those stodgy old guys who would still say, I don't really need a clock. I love when people can handle a basketball and do those kind of things. But it's going to be a 35-second clock. Now, I've coached with a clock in AAU one year, and it was weird, doing it. But once you kind of got into it, it wasn't that hard. I mean, you just had to rescope the way you did your plays and so forth. You were mindful of the clock as another piece there. So I think 35 seconds is probably a fairly reasonable amount of time. But your thoughts on the philosophies that come into this? Because I think there's people goodwill on all sides here trying to get this thing right.
Well, yeah, and I think the dirty little secret that people don't talk about isn't the game that somebody tucks the ball under their arm and stands there in the old days.
Right.
The old freeze out. We went through it. We coached it. It was a tactic.
And I didn't like that. I didn't like that part. No.
And I think that got away from the philosophy of the game that was established years ago when basketball was established in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Right? And I think getting away from that was like, yes, the game needs to have action. So the thing that I like about it is it changes the tactics a little bit, but it doesn't so much stretch out the difference between offense and defense. It keeps defense in the game.
I've always been a great believer in great passing teams, and I guess that's what I get concerned about a little bit. But I know today's game, the public looking more for action. They want to see buckets scored. They want to see higher scores. Nobody's sitting around looking for a 32-30 game. They want to see those kind of things happen. And so I wonder how much it will change the philosophy now for coaches as they get ready for the 28-29 season, where they're going to have to say now, okay, I've got this extra piece now in here. You're certainly going to have to maybe change the way you go about, structuring your plays and so forth. That will definitely be a big difference.
Yeah, I think so too, Gary. I think, but once people get into it and start coaching that way and using the tactics, it'll be old hat. Because you know yourself, you've seen it in every sport. People want to win sexy anymore. Nobody wants to do smash mouth football. Nobody wants to do 30 seconds of pass the ball where every kid gets a touch on the court and then shoot it. so that the quickness of the game, the speed of the game, the skill levels that have elevated the game going up above the rim, I think it's going to be great.
I admit to being a dinosaur on that, Bob. So I totally say out there, but my part of the game that is like that. I'll be interested in seeing the changes that it's made. But hats off to you for doing this. You've been around since '88, but that's 1988, by the way, like me. But the bottom line is that these changes they are coming. A lot of people in the country. You look at college games and so forth; they're playing with a clock, and so people are saying, well. Okay, here we go. You make that kind of uniform. Final thoughts on that this morning, Bob?
Well, yeah, I think that's how the game's evolving. And, if you don't change, you die.
Yeah, you do.
And like you said, since '88, I can tell you A to Z. There's a whole lot of changes, not only in our sport, but our association. And you know how it is. Coaching philosophy has changed. So I'm looking forward to it. We have great coaches. They'll handle it. It'll be great. And the training is the key to make sure that we don't have those mistakes. I would just hope people would give people some breath, some leeway, some time to make sure we have it right and that they don't jump on people for making a mistake when we just get out of the box.
Well, I think it's wise, too, to give till 28-29 to give everybody a chance to get in line here, be able to pay for the clocks and the extra things that are going to take and the training that it's going to take for officials to carry all that out. Bob, you and I are going to talk on Monday at 7:35 because I want to talk a little bit about your retirement and maybe look back over the years with you. But I appreciate you being with us this morning, my friend. Thank you so much.
Anytime. Thank you very much. I'll talk to you Monday.
Thanks, Bob. Talk to you then. Bob Lombardi, Executive Director of the PIAA with the shot clock coming up at 28-29. All here on the Gary Sutton Show. This hour has been brought to you by Accountability for Life, AFL. Check them out at aflyorkpa.com. We'll take a break. We'll come back with more here in the 8:05 hour. Corey Thurman joins us about recruiting in the Penn State situation and much, much more straight ahead. All here on the Gary Sutton Show. And don't forget, Aaron Anderson will be here this morning, along with Jim Hanneslager. Man, we got a chock-full hour coming up your way at 8 o'clock here on the Gary Sutton Show. It's time for news.
This is York's only local show on York's only local station. This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
Listen to your show every day. It's really good. I have you guys on every morning to wake up to.
Gary Sutton, mornings 6 to 9 on Sports Radio 98.9 FM and 1350 WOYK.
All the things you're talking about are all the things we're talking about. It's Main Street America every day.
And you're getting your money's worth.
You're a brilliant mind, tremendous experience. You're great for the community.
The Gary Sutton Show on York's first station, WOYK.
And it's a great day, and it's good to see you.
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
Grooving along here on a Thursday morning. So glad you decided to join us here on the Gary Sutton Show. It's the 4th of December, 2025. And it's 29 frosty degrees out here on Brooks Robinson Plaza at Wellspan Park. I just walked out and walked across the plaza there for a moment, and I got to tell you, it'll get your attention.
Yeah, no doubt.
Had the first morning, I had to do some scraping this morning on the windshield.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, wasn't happy about that. But it's good. Yeah, we're going. It's climate change. We're going in the winter. Okay, that's what it's called, winter. All right, so we expect that's going to happen, but there you go. Brought to you by Barley Snyder Attorneys at Law, our presenting sponsor. We tell you about it. 130-plus attorneys. Yeah. 29 different areas that they work in civil law regarding business, whether you're an individual or a small company or a larger company. They can answer a lot of the questions and help you get those things out there, and they're so good at it. They really are. They have a regional approach that they use where if you call Barley Snyder, you're not only getting access to one attorney, you get access to a whole bunch that have a lot of different kinds of expertise. And isn't that what you want? People who know what's going on up to the moment, understanding of the law and where things are. They love to have good relationships with you. They do. You'll get to know them. You also find out they're great people out in the community as well, aside from being lawyers, and they get results. And isn't that what we all want? Now, you can give them a call here in York. It's 717-846-8888. They're open 9 to 5 daily. They're located at 100 East Market Street, and they are ready to help you. Go to barley.com right now, BARLEY.com, and find out more about Barley Snyder Attorneys at Law. And I got to tell you, this hour, the 8 o'clock hour, is sponsored by Augie's Joint. And, I got to tell you, they're open 5 days a week, Tuesday through Saturday, 10 to 2. And this week, they're going to be open Friday night for First Friday. So after you take the family to Bright Nights right here at the park, which is, by the way, open right now. Bright Nights will be open tonight, tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday. And you can go to brightnightsyork.com. But if you go down to Bright Nights, think about this. Make it a night. Go down to Bright Nights. And tomorrow night, Augie's is going to be open 5 to 9. So after you take the family to Bright Nights at Wellspan Park, bring the family by Augie's Joint for dinner. Enjoy the angry cheesesteak. Enjoy the Augie's doggy like I did yesterday. I went down. I had a hankering for it. I went down. I saw Jewel and Elijah was there. And Augie came in a little bit late. He was doing his job down in Baltimore. He's a policeman, by the way. And you can enjoy trivia. They have these trivia boards up there on top, which they're addictive, by the way. I sit there and I'm answering questions all the time. Keeps your brain sharp. Bring the family by Augie's Joint for dinner. Enjoy trivia while dining on one of their special hot dogs, burgers, or cheesesteaks. And don't forget to make it a combo for just $3 more. You get a drink, cookie, and tater tots. Can't wait to see you there Friday the 5th. That's tomorrow night. Stop down there before or after you head on over, probably after, at Wellspan Park here for Bright Nights. Just up the street there. It's right in the Central Market on the Beaver Street side. And by the way, this week's specials are the Blue Pit Hot Dog. This is for Corey Thurman. The Blue Pit Hot Dog, which is bacon, fried onions, crumbled blue cheese on top of the hot dog with green onions. There you go. To add to all the other great, and again, the Angry Cheesesteak. If you want to have one of the great cheesesteaks of all time, the Angry Cheesesteak at Augie's is what it's all about. Right there at the Central Market, open daily 10 to 2. But tomorrow, 5 to 9 on First Friday, and a great night to get on down here to Bright Nights, and then head on up to Augie's Joint for a great dinner right there on the Beaver Street side, inside the Central Market, historic Central Market. It's a great place to be. And with that, we turn this morning to Corey Thurman, former pitcher for the Revolution here, former Major League pitcher, board member now, dad, husband, and all-around great guy and a good friend. Good morning, Corey. How you doing?
Great. Good morning. Good morning. How y'all doing this morning?
Well, I'm doing pretty well. we got to get down to Augie's again. I know I always like to whet your appetite a little bit before we get into this segment.
I know. You got me hungry again this morning. Every Thursday morning I get hungry. So
I know.
It's all good.
What can I do? I'm doing my part. So
100%.
So I'm looking at Penn State yesterday. A woeful signing day for Penn State. James Franklin down in Blacksburg now. Virginia Tech taking away recruits who were going to come to Penn State. They're now coming down to Virginia Tech. You got a few guys in, but you're not. This is probably one of the worst recruiting classes they've ever had at Penn State.
Yeah, I know. It's like not even in the top 70 in the nation or something like that. I heard that yesterday, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is ridiculous up here.
I want to ask you a question. With the portal now, with the NIL stuff, with all that going on, has Penn State screwed up this whole coaching hiring thing to the point that they are now kind of rendered? I don't know if you're going to throw away next year, but they're not in a good place right now for next year. Now you got this Terry Smith factor in there, who's helped to win the last 3 games by taking over at a tough time. And players want to keep him, and if he doesn't stay, they might go. We don't know who they're going to get out there. It seems to me when they got rid of Franklin, they should have had somebody in mind that they wanted to hire. What's your take on that whole deal, Corey?
Oh yeah, that's definitely the thing, is that they went a little early on the Franklin thing, just because they didn't have anybody in mind. They were like, screw it, we'll just pay for it, get it done, do what you got to do, call it a day. And then with the buyout, even though now since he took the job in Virginia Tech, it's only $9 million, it's still a buyout, and you put yourself in a precarious position because you're sitting here now. This is when kids are trying to figure out who's going to be there next. Virginia Tech did their job. They got in there and got it quick. Everyone's doing it quick. LSU's doing it quick. Everyone's doing it quick. Everyone's figuring out what's going on with them. And they try to get the guy from BYU, but he wants to stay out there at BYU. He's Mormon. A lot of those Mormon kids, he understands. Sataki, yeah. They want to get him. But, and I've been hearing the name, Tomlin thrown around here and there, going to Penn State if the Steelers get rid of him. And now, obviously, Mike Tomlin would be one of the best recruiters and bring as many people there. And people would flip in a heartbeat, But is it too late? And the Steelers haven't said anything with them, so it's kind of like Penn State is just in limbo. And how are you going to be Penn State in limbo? You should already have somebody.
Well, that's exactly right. And now when you have the portal thing, and when you have a lot of players who are now declaring themselves open to it, and you say, well, I don't like the portal. Well, you may not like it, but it's here. It's part of reality.
Yeah, it's here. It's part of it. Yeah.
So you got to be playing the game right now. And, we just saw the guy leave from Mississippi to go to LSU. You mentioned him. And he's going in there with the idea of, okay, I got to do this right now, because if I want to get the players for next year, I'm going to have to do it now to get them. Penn State is in a bad place here at the moment, it seems to me.
Terrible.
And especially if you want to be considered, the reason they fired Franklin is they want to be considered the national championship conversation every year, and you're not going to get there doing it the way they're doing right now, it doesn't seem.
And let's be honest. We're talking unless you're used to the cold weather, you're not going to get one of those coaches from the SEC to come up here to the Big Ten and be in this cold weather. And I understand that. It's got to be tough, and you got to have somebody that's going to be tough enough to come up here and do that and not have to always be the SEC ball, And, let's be real. I signed to play at LSU. Then I'm going, but I signed to play there, but I'm from Texas. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's I don't know if I would have came up to Penn State with my family and stuff like that. Now, we just got to be better at, especially here in Pennsylvania, we've got to get the guy. You've got to get the guy. And making a splash, you got to make a splash. You got to do something. You can't just hire this guy who's the coordinator for this team in the NFL and no one knows him. Now, if you were hiring Ben Johnson, who's with the Bears now, that's a different hire. You know what I'm saying? But you got to make a splash. You got to do a Tomlin. They could even do a PJ Fleck from Minnesota. You know what I mean? That could be a splash, But I just don't see it, but I think that could be a lateral move also.
I was going to say, the splash you're going to make right now, you wonder how big a splash it would be, though, and what's left. And you don't know what talks are going on behind the scenes. I heard they did have an interview with Urban Meyer. I don't know how true that is, but that's one of the rumors behind the scenes. But they said Urban Meyer doesn't like the NIL stuff. He just doesn't. But you could probably have someone who takes care of that already. And then maybe you put Terry Smith in a high-ranking position with him, where you keep him, so you keep the players happy, but you also put the big name in there who's won a national championship. Maybe that bridges the gap, but that's more me with wishful thinking than it is with reality.
You know what? And you're talking about the wishful thinking, but you got to start with wishful thinking to get to reality at some point. You got to wish for what you want, and hopefully it'll come through. But like Urban Meyer's a good one, because that would be perfect, because he might be like, well, you know, I want to get back into coaching, and like, what's my role? It's going to be less.
Right.
But I'm just going to be the figurehead, and I'm going to do all the coaching. And then, like you said, Terry Smith and everyone else, you let these guys deal with the NIL stuff. You tell me who we're getting. I'll make sure we put a good product on the field, and everyone will know that we're going to beat Ohio State.
And by the way, you out there can join us in the conversation here. Our text line at 833-478-4729. Love to hear your opinions on this, and we'll get back to you on that. Wanted to get one final thought from this morning, Corey, because you're on a school board. Just got word yesterday, the PIAA, we just talked to Bob Lombardi, the executive director of the PIAA a moment ago, is going to put in a shot clock for basketball come 28-29. It's going to be a 35-second shot clock. What's your take on that? Not only maybe as a dad, but as a guy that's played the game, that's seen the game. Obviously, Central had a state championship a couple years ago. We didn't need a shot clock then, by the way. I don't think we ever held it as long as 35 seconds. But what's your take on that?
See, I think it helps the game, because every other thing, even baseball has a clock now.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's the game that you would never think that would have got a clock. High school basketball needs a shot clock, because when people get these defenses and get into the offense and they're stalling, their stall tactic, I hate that with a passion, because our coach tried to do that when we were running gun back in high school, and we ended up losing a playoff game because we were ahead by running and gun, and then we tried to stall, and that wasn't our game.
Yeah.
Our game was run, gun. We're trying to get shots up every 15, 20 seconds. We're trying to get shots up, because the more shots you take, the more shots have to go in. You know what I mean? And that's how I look at it. And I think this shot clock is going to help, because it'll stop all that stalling stuff just because you have a good defense. Hey, you got to play the game.
I'll be devil's advocate for a moment, though. I'll be devil's advocate for a moment. So you take a weaker team that maybe is outmanned, and you're playing a stronger team, and maybe your ability to pass the ball, cut, screen, do all those things, hang on to the ball a little bit, and you make the other team have to play defense. I'm not in favor of standing there holding the ball, don't get me wrong. But I am in favor of the idea of, do you take that away from the weaker team that might have a chance to stay in the game by using their skills to be able to pass and not have to worry about a clock?
I think 35 seconds gives those teams a chance. Now, this is where coaches got to get smart, Gary, and you coach.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So this is where coaches got to get smarter. This is where you got to do the Princeton style. You got to do your back cuts. If you got a good passing team, you got your quick. You got to do your cuts and get the easy layups. Then you can stay ahead in a game like that. But you can take it down to 32 seconds, then make a cut and get to the line, or get to the hole, and then maybe get free throws, and then be a good free throw shooting team. So that's where I'll counter that, because I think if they take the Princeton style and then Prince with the passing and stuff and use the entire clock, that'll work.
Yep, I think there's a lot of, and you know what coaches do, the double A's. You attack and adjust, kind of like what pitchers do. You attack and adjust. You attack with what you know, you adjust to what you don't, and you make it part of your regimen. Hey, 2 works for you today. Angry cheesesteak, that's 3 words. Angry cheesesteak, how's that?
Hey, angry cheesesteak, outstanding, and we got to get that podcast over there at some point, man.
We're going to do that, yeah. So I will give you a call. Maybe we can get that kicking next week. What do you think?
Yeah, let me know. Just let me know what we can do. I just need a little bit of heads up so I can make sure I set it up.
Lunchtime with Corey. What do you think? Lunchtime with Corey. You like that? It has
that sounds good to me.
Yeah.
That sounds good to me.
All right, buddy. We got it covered. Hey, good talking to you today. As always, appreciate your insights on all the things that are going on around us, and looking forward to catching up with you next Thursday. All right, my man?
You got it, man. We'll talk soon, man. Keep that swing, keep that golf swing loose. I'm putting in the house, getting my game right.
All right. Thanks a lot.
All right, talk to you soon.
Corey Thurman here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. Yeah, Corey always with pretty good opinions and thinks about it, and you can tell he's thought about some of those things this morning. When we come back, Jim Hanneslager joins us. We're going to get the latest on what's happening with construction of the Back Nine. Yeah, the hottest new thing coming to York here, the premium indoor golf facility. And we're going to ask Jim some questions about some other things here that are coming up today. On the construction update and all kinds of things that are happening, all here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. Back after this.
And the ball up. Smith wins it back with some authority.
Good anticipation on that jump there.
Oh, here's Jaden from deep, and he opens it up with a three from the hash over by the Dickinson bench. That didn't take long. No. And Rowe quickly pulls and nails a three. Timeout, York. He scampered it up on the dribble, pulled, and he's got 20 in the first half tonight. And Burke will dribble the timeout in the front court, and that'll do it. Spartans return from the Thanksgiving break, and they hang 88 on Dickinson tonight. An 88-72 win, 6-0.
There you go, the Spartans last night, and we do have more action. Jaden Rowe, by the way, tied a career high.
Scoring machine.
31 points. The team as a whole hit 15 threes last night.
Yeah, they're amazing. I mean, they really are good at that, getting threes. It's a lot of fun to watch. They're going to be playing this weekend on Saturday, right? Both
Saturday,
teams, ladies and men.
Right. The doubleheader starts at 12:45. Women host Newman at 1, and then Saturday afternoon, men host Delaware Valley. That starts at 3 p.m.
I'm going to get over there and watch some of that this weekend just for the heck of it. I haven't seen York College in a while, and they have a great quality of basketball over there. And, of course, listen to Darrell Henry right here on WOYK. You can listen to him at 989WOYK.com or 98.9 FM or 1350 AM WOYK. With that, we turned to Jim Hanneslager this morning, who is always running around town here somewhere because he's getting ready for the Back Nine. Yeah, the Back Nine, which is York's premier golf location, is being built right now. But every now and then, there are little things that happen. Good morning, Jim. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm well, Gary. How are you doing?
Not bad, but into every life a little rain must fall, right? And talk to us about how some of that happens along the way.
That's actually quite apropos. Anybody listening or for you or Mark, if you've ever opened a business, watched someone open a business or thought about it yourself, you always plan for contingencies, and there's always funny things that come up. This is not our first project, and we've seen some fun things, but our construction progress update, it's great. It's moving along. We're on our pace of play with our contractor is phenomenal.
Right.
But we've had to deal with a couple roof leaks. Thank God that we've actually had quite a bit of rain and precipitation fairly recently because we've been able to identify. We identified that we had a small swimming pool in the back of our space, but luckily it happened now, and we've patched up things, and fingers crossed that's all good. We've been having to reroute piping and some cabling. There's some things that aren't up to code, which is odd. I think the previous tenant kind of came in and got approved during the COVID shutdowns, and so the inspections were probably like by FaceTime or something. So we're course correcting for those sorts of things. But the best one of all is the township has required that we put a sign on the rear door. There is a rear door to our space. If anyone's been to South York Plaza, there are rear doors. It's where the dumpster is. It's where the trash man comes and picks up. It's loading docks.
Right.
I don't know who would ever go back there, but we need to post both a handicap sign as well as a very large sign in Braille, probably in neon colors, so it can be seen at night as well, to let people know this is not the front door. Literally, it will say this is not the front door. So, and there's a special sign I have to go and order, but these are minor things. I don't mean to make light of these things. I guess they are important, but these are the things that go into opening a business that are kind of fun to share.
I am not quite as politically correct on some of these things. I have things where we have rules for the terminally stupid, and I'm just saying, when it comes to government will come up with some of these stupid things that you have to do that normal people, 99.999% of the population, never has to worry about, never has to look at, and they say, no, we got to put these in there. These are kind of regulations we need. The problem is when you put those kind of rules in, that means somebody did that sometime. Somebody didn't. Somebody came and said, I don't know, is this not the back door? I mean, have you noticed nobody goes in this way? I don't know. I just call me dumb, call me heartless. There I am. But anyway, you're talking about you have an opinion of pace of play policies, especially in professional and trickling down to the game of golf right now. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, and I'd love to get your opinion a little bit too. When I look at the popularity of golf, and it's growing. it's growing, especially coming out of the pandemic. Golf was one of those activities a lot of folks could get outside and do. They could be socially distanced. And that it kind of translated into a big boom in the technology sector in terms of simulator golf. And now we're seeing a real explosion in popularity of sim play, simulator, indoor golf. And that's what we do.
Right.
And then you start looking at some of the trends in the game, and there's this interesting conversation that's happening about, is the game changing right before our eyes? I mean, it's not like going indoors. Simulator play is not replacing the beautiful outdoor game, but there's some things that happen in simulator play that are sort of mimicking even some rules that I feel like in policies we're seeing at the pro game. They're trickling down to golf courses that just you and I would play, public golf courses, and a lot of it is about speeding up the game. And when we're seeing even rules about like the 90-degree rule with your cart, or provisional ball play, or even like a shot clock almost in the pro game. I don't know how you feel about it, but it's a really interesting time with the game.
There's two things at play here. Number one, businesses want to make more money, and you make more money by having more tee times. You get more tee times out there by people picking up their play and playing it 4:15, 4 hours and 15 minutes, or even less than that sometimes. So that's one thing. On the other side, we're in a day and age where we want to do things quick. You know, sometimes we don't have time. We don't have 4 hours to play. And so now we want to get out there and say, okay, I'm going to go play at my course. Sometimes I can play in 3 hours, 2.5 hours sometimes, depending on the time of day, which I know where that is. I think it just goes hand in hand with how fast our society's moving now. And you've kind of addressed some of that with the back nine, right?
Well, yeah, and that's kind of the neat thing is what we see. What people ask us, well, how many bays are you going to have? How many simulators? And we have 4. It's a healthy sized facility, a little bit larger than our average facility, to be honest. But it has changed the idea of what an appropriate tee time is for golfers. Like a lot of folks are fighting for that Saturday morning, that Sunday morning, or maybe the oddball super early Thursday or Friday morning, you know, before work or whatever it is. And now when you can play on a simulator 18 solo in maybe 45 minutes, that's probably a good average pace of play on the simulator. You start to say, oh, well, I can book a 4:30 p.m. on a Tuesday or a 5 o'clock and still get it in, a lot of swings, train, see the pals, say hi, and be home for dinner.
Yeah.
You know, what it does is actually, from a capacity standpoint, it allows us to provide a lot of access to golf for folks who just want to get their fix. Well, and maybe they're training, they're competing, or maybe it's just about connecting with others.
And I want people to check out the back9golf.com/York-PA right now. The back9golf.com/York-PA. The address is 259A Pauline Drive in York, right out there at the South York Plaza. It's right next to Giant. And I'll tell you what, it's going to be open before you know it, coming up here in probably January with some of the little setbacks. But that's okay. You know, we don't mind that. Let's get it right. Let's have a great place, and it's going to be the premier golf indoor place that you can go to. And right now, they got memberships available. You can start to look about all the various things that are going on for your group, you as an individual. The back9golf, all one word, .com/York-PA. And Jim, I'm getting excited about it. And just all the various things, 24/7 tee times. It's going to be fantastic. Final thought this morning.
No, I appreciate all of that, and it really is. We got to get it right, and it's going to be right on. So we're really targeting that first week of January. I feel really good about that. Give me a little plus-minus wiggle room if we have to post another silly sign, but we're feeling really good, and we're coming up maybe, 40 days, 40 days from now?
Yeah, it sounds like a good one. And again, back9golf.com/York-PA. Get in there right now and find out about York's premier indoor golf destination. Yeah, it might be 29 degrees outside here. It's going to be pretty nice inside there. And Jim, we'll look forward to talking to you next week, my friend. Always good having you aboard. Thanks so much.
Thank you, sir. Have a great weekend.
Jim Hanneslinger with us this morning, the back9golf.com/York-PA. It's a place I'm going to be going. Why don't you think about heading on out there, too, and check it out today. WOYK News Times 8:31. We'll be back with Aaron Anderson right after this and take a look at some of the things happening locally here and what's on his mind. All here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. This hour being brought to you by Augie's Joint. Why don't you stop down there 10 to 2, 5 days a week, where they are ready to have some of the best sandwiches, the best lunches for you. They are just doing it right. And today's special, by the way, this week's special, the Blue Pit hot dog, which is bacon, fried onions, crumbled blue cheese on top of hot dog with green onions. And don't forget, tomorrow night, they're open 5 to 9 on First Friday. Great night to get on out here to Wellspan Park. Take in Bright Nights York. You can check that out at brightnightsyork.com. And then stop up at Augie's right there on the Beaver Street side of the Central Market. They'll be open until 9 o'clock and have one of the great sandwiches like the Angry Cheesesteak, the Augie's Doggy, or so many more. And don't forget, for $3 more, make it a combo. You get a dessert, which is a cookie. You get tater tots, you get a drink, and you get one of those great Augie sandwiches, which are unsurpassed. Check them out and tell them Gary Sutton sent you. WOYK News Time, 8:32.
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad.
Little Jose Feliciano coming back.
Feliz Navidad.
Turn me up just a little bit, Mark. I love Light My Fire. Mark was talking about during the break there. I love that version. Light My Fire was one of the greats of all time. But
this one,
it's okay. It's not. I'm not. It's not on the naughty list.
Oh, well, that's good.
No, but it's not on the. Hey, man, would you please play some more Jose Feliciano Feliz Navidad? That's not on that list either.
It's a holiday song.
It's a white noise song for me for the holidays.
Last hour we played a Ramones.
Yeah, that
holiday
sucked.
song.
I mean, that was
You did
really
not
bad.
like
I
that?
did not like that at all. No, I
Merry
did not
Christmas, I don't want to fight tonight.
No, and nothing by Bruce Springsteen. That stupid song. I don't
Santa Claus is coming.
There are some people that there should be a law they can't sing Christmas music. Like Bruce Springsteen would be on that list. You
Really?
ought not be on
No?
that. And I wouldn't put Jose on there. I wouldn't put him on
He's
there.
not on the list.
No.
So you
Burl
draw the
Ives
line.
would be on the list.
You
Yeah,
know what? Burl Ives is not anywhere on this list.
And I'm very glad to hear that.
I'm shocked that it's not.
The other ones, like soul music. I love soul music, but I don't think that the Temptations singing Christmas songs is that good. There's very few people that get off doing that. Pop groups, Manhattan Transfer did probably one of the great Christmas albums of all
Yes,
time.
I would agree with that.
And the Carpenters did one of the great Christmas albums of all time. People like that, but for the most part, Kelly Clarkson does a pretty good job on a lot of
Oh,
these
it's funny
things,
you
I
should
think.
mention that.
Yeah.
I have a song.
So there you go. Anyway, I do want to remind you, by the way, check your battery strength right now, will you please? 29 degrees this morning, 27 degrees. The battery might be taking a little bit of a battering from what happened all summer when the high summer temperatures weakened it. And Jack Giambalvo's family of dealerships want me to remind you to get out there and do a quick test that prevents a no start when cooler mornings arrive. And speaking of Jack Giambalvo, you've heard a lot about a lot of the new cars averaging over 50,000 and more. And Jack Giambalvo still got some great deals over there on new cars, but at their 6 locations. But a lot of people right now have opted for pre-owned. Oh, yeah. And Jack Giambalvo has an array of pre-owned cars right now that will stagger you. Yes, it will. At their 6 locations, they got hundreds of pre-owned vehicles and SUVs, trucks, sedans, imports, and domestics. And whatever you're looking for, they've got the make and model to fit your lifestyle. When you buy used with Giambalvo, here's what you get. You get free lifetime state safety inspections, not only for your car, but even other vehicles in your household. How's that? You also get the first oil change free on them, and you have all the brands you want, hundreds of vehicles to choose from, backed by the Jack Giambalvo name for over 50 years right here in New York. They're a gold standard. People know they can trust the Giambalvo name. Jack Giambalvo started it all. John Giambalvo's carrying it on, and I'm telling you what, the Giambalvo name means something. So go to GiambalvoPreOwnedInventory.com right now. That's GiambalvoPreOwnedInventory.com right now and see all the vehicles that they have available and where they are located in those 6 different locations. Jack Giambalvo family of dealerships. Experience the Giambalvo difference today. And when you get there, tell them Gary Sutton proudly sent you. Jack Giambalvo family of dealerships. WOYK News Time is 8:40. And we're joined this morning by Aaron Anderson, CEO of Logos Academy and lead pastor at Living Word Church in Red Lion. And we always like to look at the local scene here for the most part and what's going on, but sometimes some general philosophical stuff. Good morning, Aaron. How are you?
Hey, Gary. I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, I'm tired today. Man, I feel like Mark and I, this is one of those days where you feel like it ought to be pay per word. We've given you the very best we got. I mean, we're throwing ourselves down there. Mark's shaking his head right now, but I think we get a pay per word today. I mean, I feel like it's been a good show.
Wow,
Is that Admiral Sutton adrift on the Sea of Me? I don't know. I just thought it was not very humble, but no, I'm kidding. We're loving it. We love doing this every day, obviously.
Well, obviously you do, and at least you've got a good partner in crime there with Mark.
I know that. Yeah, I know that. And too, from sitting and hosting our show, you're one of the very few people that get to sit in this esteemed place, this spacious studio that we have, and do this show from time to time. But it's fun. We enjoy doing it every day, and especially right now. Mark was saying, especially when Aaron's in. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I said when you were gone that the golden microphones. I think that's a throwback.
I heard that. Yeah.
Rush.
I heard that. Yeah, I know. It's so what's new in your world right now? You're out there. You're always a bridging world. You have the education part of things, and then you've got the the other part were the spiritual part of things with being a pastor down at Living Word Church in Red Lion. So, what's new in your world these days?
Gary, one of the things that we've been spending some time with our congregation on, and obviously everyone has known, is just dealing with looking at the local scene in terms of food insecurity, and that's been one of the things that's really been surprising. I mean, we everybody has followed that nationally, but one of the things we see, is the York County Food Bank they do a big distribution out at Living Word. It's every couple of weeks, and man, I tell you, the numbers of people that show up for that just continue to climb, and that to me is so striking. Here it is. It's in a season where hopefully, still think it's true. During a season when we think about giving and we think about, about God's kindness to us by sending Jesus, we think about how, what should we be doing for other people? But man, there's still, it's striking to me how much need there is out there. But it's been neat to watch. I think people, just regular average people, like us people are eager to want to jump in and do something. And that's encouraging, Gary, because I think we watch, if you watch too much news and you pay attention to that, you just think everybody hates each other constantly. But that's not true. I don't think that's the world that we live in most day to day. I don't see that. Even though there are still, clearly there's still, I look at the amount of violence that's still happening, especially relational violence, which is concerning. I continue to see that on a local level, where our police, specifically have been running into domestic situations that have been dangerous. So, but that, I tend to hope that that's out there on the fringe, but I think most of our day-to-day interactions are, have been decent, I would say.
There's something about, and again, I'm not saying something that millions of other people haven't said before, but there's something about this time of year where our I don't know if our nerves get frayed. We get very nostalgic about past Christmases, about family members who maybe aren't here anymore. There's something about it that shapes this whole time period that we look at, where we are, as Bill Murray said in Scrooge, a little nicer to each other. We say hello to each other a little bit more. We hold the door a little longer. We maybe pick up a tab for somebody. We do those kind of things. And I've never, ever been able to put my finger on what it is, whether it's just a Christmas season. But I don't think it's necessarily always just that either. It's something more to it. But it's a whole lot of things that kind of shape this time of year. As a pastor, as a dad, as a husband, as a guy who heads up a school, have you ever been able to kind of figure that out? Because I'm sure you've thought about it.
Well, I think you're onto something. I mean, I'd love to say as a pastor that what motivates Christians to do it is the time of year and thinking about it, as I said earlier.
And I think that's part of it. I really do.
I think that's part of it. I think that's part of it. God's love for humanity. So I think that's part of it. I do think there is a particular nostalgia around this time of year. I think, and I noticed that too. And we try to be. We're going to really give some sensitivity to that in our worship services. Where this is a time when people are thinking about loss. I'm just thinking, in the last couple of weeks. I mean, recently I just helped officiate a funeral for a friend. Who is well known, Melanie Haiti, who is well known here in town. Other folks that I know who have gone to the hospital, for things or battling health issues. I think there's, so you do get sentimental around this time of year. And I don't know, too, Gary, I mean, maybe some of our best memories or some of our deepest memories were formed as kids around Christmas time.
Well, I was watching Christmas Vacation last night, which is a funny movie, and yet it builds around the idea of looking back on the movies of when you were the family. You remember when you were a kid, remembering people who aren't here with you now. I think about my mom, my dad, my brother, who are no longer here with me, and my sister, who still is, and I think about things that you did. There's something about, and when I sing Silent Night, I always think about my mom and my dad, and especially my dad. And I think back and I find myself with tears in my eyes standing there at the church. And, so I think we all have those kind of moments. But it would be interesting and then on the other side of that, we also have maybe moments of loneliness that we don't experience as much during the time of the year, and that certainly comes into play too, doesn't it?
Well, I think it's a big part of it too. Is it's when we slow down. I think there's something to that.
Yes.
Gary. It's when we slow down and we think about what's most important in life. That I think as you talked about the tears at Silent Night, I think it's when you slow down and you just pay attention. You realize, man, the hustle and bustle, the speed at which we operate, the things we get excited about, get angry about, that care about. At the end of the day, a lot of those things don't really matter. What really matters, I like how the Apostle Paul put it. He says the only thing that really counts is faith expressing itself in love. The only thing that really matters, that I watch, as I watch people on their deathbed, the only thing that really matters is the people they loved and the love they received. And you call me sentimental, but that's just the reality. That's all that really matters. It's a great time. You kind of wish you could bottle it and throughout the year get people to remember that, not just at Christmas time. So maybe we can figure out how to do that.
Well, I've talked about that a lot, and I know that's one that people normally talk about a lot, that why can't we be like that all year round? We're a little nicer, but I haven't figured that one out yet, why people feel like it's there's a certain season. It's like Hallmark. There's a certain season. You start just before Halloween, and you play the Hallmark movies, then you end them in January. You say, well, why can't we be like that all the time? But we're not yet. And maybe that's something we can work on a little bit, all of us together, and make that better. We talked to Kevin Smith a lot about kindness. Maybe that's something we could we get a little bit more in on. But I think when we make that the foundation, that if we're kind to each other, if we respect each other, that's not a bad place to start. If we do that in all of our dealings, that's going to start to network out to other people, and other people maybe will start to do it too. That's at least the hope that we have this time of year. Aaron, always good talking to you, my friend. Thank you so much, and have a great weekend, and we'll look forward to catching up with you next Thursday morning, all right?
That sounds great, Gary. Be well.
You're a good friend, man. Appreciate it. Aaron Anderson right here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. We'll take a break. We'll come back with some final thoughts right after this. welcome back. The Gary Sutton Show. Some great Christmas music here. And not really. Just a good song.
B-52s.
I like this song.
Love Shack.
Yeah, I liked it. Love Shack. Anyway, that's like my house every day.
Is that so?
I'm serious.
The Love Shack.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm just being honest about it. It's full of love constantly. It's just what it is.
Is that it?
I just thought I'd mention that.
Anything
Anyway,
else you want to say?
No. What do you have next? Go ahead.
All right. So
Final thoughts.
let's talk about health news.
Oh, yeah, that's exciting. Okay.
Let's talk about health news because you like peanuts?
I do like peanuts. Yeah, I do.
Okay. And they taste good. All right.
Yeah, they do.
Many forms. You can have them in a peanut butter parfait, peanut butter and marshmallow
Spanish
sandwich.
peanuts with the skin still on them.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you got all that. But did you know it has another benefit aside from tasting good, at least for our brains?
A study in the Netherlands shows a daily serving of peanuts may boost brain blood flow and even help memory in older adults. Researchers tested 31 people, ages 60 to 75, for 16 weeks and found that participants who ate about 2 ounces of unsalted, skin-on roasted peanuts every day saw a 3.6% increase in brain blood flow, especially in areas tied to thinking and language. Verbal memory scores also rose by nearly 6%. Scientists say nutrients in peanuts, such as healthy fats, plant protein, polyphenols, and L-arginine, likely support healthier blood vessels. The study was published in Clinical Nutrition. Carmen Roberts, Fox News.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, that's
yes,
good.
Isn't that good?
Very nice. Yeah, and there you go.
There's other health news as well from our house call for health.
If you're having trouble sleeping, you might consider turning to the age-old practice of Tai Chi for some relief. Tai Chi is a traditional Chinese mind-body exercise that involves slow, flowing movements, deep breathing, and focused attention. Researchers at Hong Kong University conducted a study of 200 Chinese adults ages 50 years and older who'd been diagnosed with chronic insomnia. The study found after 15 months, participants who used Tai Chi regularly had fewer problems falling asleep. Other research has also shown long-term use of Tai Chi improves sleep quality, increases total sleep time, and reduces the amount of time it takes to get to sleep. House Call for Health, Elisa Brady, Fox News.
Look at that, a few peanuts, a little Tai Chi, and your life improves.
Yeah, there was a new poll, and we talked about it in the 6 o'clock hour this morning, where they ranked the 10 things that kids get most excited about at Christmas.
Right.
The top 9 were gifts. There was no.
Really. What a groundbreaking.
Isn't that what it is? Amazon, by the way, testing the 30-minute deliveries like Domino's, minus the part where they actually deliver something to you within 30 minutes. I saw Russia has unveiled spy pigeons. Because evidently the biggest threats to Vladimir Putin are old people with breadcrumbs at the park. I mean, it's terrible. And I see where hackers are targeting home security cameras for sexual footage to blackmail residents now.
Oh, there you go.
Fortunately, those of you who are married are safe. You're not going to have to worry about that. I don't know.
How about this?
Go ahead.
I think this might be the dumbest
You're going to bail
story.
me out here is what you're doing.
Yeah, this is the dumbest story I think I've heard today. Check this out.
Chicago native Pope Leo XIV may be the Midwest's favorite son, but he is not the area's favorite bobblehead. Let me explain. The National Bobblehead Hall of Fame Museum, which is in Milwaukee, has announced that 2 bobbleheads of Indiana football coach Curt Cignetti have passed one of the Pope to become the year's bestsellers. The first version featured the coach of the 2023 news conference saying,
"Yeah, it's pretty simple. I win. Google me."
A little more than 2,000 were made and sold at $40 a pop. They sold out in less than a week. A second featuring Cignetti on the sideline is on the way. He's donating all the proceeds to an Indianapolis children's hospital. Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
Pretty cool. Number 2 team in the country playing for the Big Ten Championship this week with Ohio State. But finally, a man in Florida was being investigated by the cops, and he had a novelty doormat that said, quote unquote, "come back with a warrant." So they did. They say 57-year-old Chris Music of Daytona Beach have been posing as a real estate investor, creating fake documents that made it look like he owned a bunch of properties. He used them as collateral to take out big loans and buy other properties. Then he'd rent those places out, pocket the money, and never pay back the loans.
Wow.
Cops said their financial crimes unit interviewed him and established enough probable evidence to, quote, execute a search warrant, thereby satisfying the doormat's request. Come back with a warrant. I guess he wishes now he'd had a doorman that said, go away.
Really?
But that didn't happen. He's facing forgery and grand theft charges. There you go.
It is National Sock Day.
Put a sock in it.
It is Santa's List Day. It is World Wildlife Conservation Day.
Man.
The food holiday. It's National Cookie Day. Do you have a favorite cookie?
It'd be chocolate chip.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
No question about it. And, finally, we do want to remind you that today's special sandwich, this week's special sandwich at Augie's Joint, the Blue Pit hot dog, which is bacon, fried onions, crumbled blue cheese on top of the hot dog with green onions. They're open 5 days a week, Tuesday through Saturday, 10 to 2, and tomorrow night, 5 to 9. So if you're coming out here for Bright Nights York, why don't you plan on doing that and then going over for dinner at Augie's Joint right there at the Beaver Street side of the Central Market. They're going to be open tomorrow night, and they would love to have you come over and try an Augie's Doggy, an Angry Cheesesteak, or any of the array of sandwiches. Hey, we've had a great time today. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Gary Sutton. See you tomorrow. It's 9 o'clock.